Good afternoon, everyone. We apologize one more time for the delay. We did have some technical audio difficulties this morning that ran over to this afternoon's session. So we deeply apologize and thank you so much for your patience with us today. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Due to COVID-19, Committee of Adjustment public hearings are being conducted virtually by electronic means through WebEx webinar, an online digital platform streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. Participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx webinar, which is moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may watch on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting via their computer, tablet, smartphone, or telephone, and have the option of participating via video or audio only. All participants will automatically be muted upon entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the city staff, one person at a time. We ask that you also mute your devices until you are called on to speak. Please use only one device at a time, as use of additional devices or logging in more than once can cause static noise, which may interfere with the audio of this hearing. To ensure further audio clarity, we suggest that you do not use the speakerphone function of your telephones. Those participating by video appearance will be temporarily upgraded to panelist when your item is being held. During this time, your camera will be enabled. You will be only visible during your 5-minute allotted speaking time. At all other times, your video will be disabled and you will be reinstated as an attendee. Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with the written submission deadline. Members of the public and applicants are not allowed to use the share screen option or any other panelist controls during a video appearance. City staff will remove you from the panelist role if you fail to respect this instruction. For all those who are waiting online, please ensure that you have called in with the telephone number that you originally registered with. If you call in with a different number, you will not be able to speak on this item. At this time, we wish to make an important land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with Sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990, as amended, the meeting of Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. My name is Nadini Sankar Peralta, and I will chair today's meeting. Joining us on the panel today are members Nazila Atarodi West, Paul Kidd, and Natasha Manning. City staff are also present: Deputy Secretary Treasurer Simon Lam, and planning staff Alex Chu, Sam Mozayani, and Daphne Davis. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning that applies to property, permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consent to sever property to create new lots. Anyone attending today who wants to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, your address, your email address, because the Committee of Adjustment and the Toronto Local Appeal Body, the TLAB, will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, decisions may be appealed to the TLAB and in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal, the OLT. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the committee's decision. The hearing procedures are as follows. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair if they still wish to speak to the item. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into the committee for decision. Each speaker, including the applicant agent, is given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will ask you to summarize your remarks when you are reaching the 5 minutes mark without exception. When addressing the committee, please state your name and your address clearly. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters described in the application only. The applicant or agent proceeds first and will make their presentation to the committee on the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions of the proposals at the date of hearing. To ensure that the revised application is accurate and all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes, the committee may decide to defer the application if it is substantially revised. Then individuals, either in support or opposition of the application, will be invited to speak. If more than one individual wishes to speak to this application, we ask that you try not to repeat the points others have already made. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When speakers are finished, the applicant or agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the previous speakers within a 5-minute time frame. This will mark the end of discussion on the item, and the item will then be taken into committee for a decision with no interruption. So in this afternoon session, I do understand, first of all, I'm going to ask members of the panel, do we have any conflicts of interest to declare for this afternoon session? None noted from the members. So let's move on to the deferral requests. We do have a couple of requests for deferral, and let's start with item number 25. Committee members, if you turn to item number 25, it is 305 Greenfield Avenue. So, sorry, I've made a mistake. I was looking at 24. Item number 25 is 35 Frontenac Avenue. My apologies. So Frontenac Avenue, there's one speaker. His name is Richard Idels. Mr. Idels, are you there on the line?
I am, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, if you could give us your name and address for the record, please.
Richard Idels, OAA, 80 North Meadow Crescent, Thornhill, Ontario, L4J3B1.
Thank you. Can you provide us with your reasons for a deferral, Mr. Idels?
We've just gone through, my client has gone through a number of weeks of Jewish holidays, and they've been in town, out of town. There are some very good family issues, thank God, but we didn't really have time to discuss with the neighbors, as I'm used to doing, and getting letters of support. So there was not enough, time for the normal things that we like to do before the meeting, and therefore I request a deferment sine die, though we do want to get on to the very next meeting.
Okay. Thank you for that explanation. Committee members, do you have any questions of Mr. Idels at this time? There's no one else to speak to this application. There being no questions, can I get a motion for this deferral, please? Member Manning.
Through you, Madam Chair, I'll put forward a motion to defer this application sine die.
Thank you, Member Manning. Deferring this application sine die. Can I have someone to second that motion, please? Seconded by Member Kidd. All those in favor? This motion has unanimously carried. Mr. Idels, your item has been deferred sine die. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you very much.
Okay. Moving on to the next item for deferral, and this is right after it's item number 26, and that is 73 Bainbridge Avenue. This is a proposal to construct a new dwelling, and the agent on this application is Mr. Marin Zabzuni. Mr. Zabzuni, welcome back.
Good afternoon again, Madam Chair and committee members.
Thank you.
The reason
if you could just state your name and address one more time for the record, please.
Absolutely. Marin Zabzuni at 1140 the Queensway.
Thank you. Yes, if you can provide us with your explanation about this deferral.
So the reason for this deferral is because the side yard setback variant is not correct. We need to have 0.9 meters there, or 0.91. We sent that waiver to the application technician along with the latest drawings, which we also worked with city planning on. And because the letters were already mailed out to the neighborhood, we will need to defer to the next available date.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Members, there's no one else to speak to this application. Do you have any questions of Mr. Zabzuni? There being no questions, then can I get a motion on this deferral request, please? Ms. Member Attarodi?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair, I would like to put forward a motion to defer this application sine die so that the applicant can circulate a new notice and then deal with the issues that they have.
Thank you. Ms. Member Attarodi is motioning to defer sine die. Can I get a seconder for that? Seconded by Member Manning. All those in favor? This motion has unanimously passed, and Mr. Zabzuni, your deferral request has been granted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving along to item number 30. This is a deferral request of the property address 60 William Craig Drive. And this is an application, a proposal to construct a carport on the side of existing detached dwelling. And I have on file here a couple of agents and the owner. So I'll just check in with everyone to make sure it is them. But we do have Kevin Lowe.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I currently do not see either of the agents on the line. However, I do see the owner. Lisa is on the line.
Okay, Lisa Nguyen. Okay, Lisa Nguyen, are you there?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Will you be speaking to the deferral today, Ms. Nguyen?
Yes, I am.
Okay, if
Yes,
you
I
can
will.
give me your, just for the record, state again your name and address, please.
Name Lisa Nguyen, address 60 William Craig Drive.
Okay, thank you so much. And can you provide us a reason for your deferral request today?
Yes, my architect would like to revise the design and reduce the width of the carport.
Okay. Committee members, you've heard what the agent has to say about the deferral request. Do you have any questions for the agent or the owner? There being none, then can I take this into committee with a motion, please, for this deferral request? Member Kidd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to put forward a motion to have this application deferred to allow the applicant to revise their plan, sine die.
Okay, thank you so much. Member Kidd putting forward a motion to approve the deferral sine die. Can I have someone to second that? Member Attarodi seconds it. All those in favor? Your deferral request has been unanimously approved. Ms. Nguyen, thank you so much.
Thank you, committee members.
Okay, thank you. So that ends our list of deferral requests, and there's no items to be closed for this afternoon session. Is that true, Mr. Deputy Secretary? Okay, so I'm confirming there's no files to be closed. So that will take us right back to the first item in our afternoon agenda, and that is item number 21. If committee members can go back to item number 21. And number 21 is 7 Southwell Drive. This is a proposal to construct a new dwelling. I note that there is only one speaker on the call today, and that is the agent. And the agent is Mr. Limor Benmor Mizrahi. Mr. Mizrahi, are you on the phone, please?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and honorable committee members.
Sorry, it's
okay. Kennedy.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Ms. Mizrahi. Are you related to Isaac Mizrahi? No, I'm just
God, I get that a lot.
Yeah, probably. Very well-known designer. Okay, so I note here for this property, it's 7 Southwell Drive. There is an October 13th planning staff report that recommends that the following modification be made to the application, and they are asking that you modify variance number 2 regarding the building height and reduce it to 8.24 meters. And should we choose to approve this application, they would recommend that the front yard setback be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan drawing. Urban Forestry also has conditions, and there is one letter on file of objection. Are you aware of all of this?
Yes, I am.
And are you willing to make the changes to variance number 2 as being requested in the staff report?
Yes, we were in conversation with staff and have revised the variance. There should be a new set of plans on file.
Okay. For our records, we just need you to talk to actually say it out loud. If you can tell us what the changes that you're making to your applicants, and start with whatever variance number it is that you're changing and from what to what, that would be helpful.
Sure. Certainly. So we are revising variance number 2, item number 2, under the citywide zoning bylaw. That takes us to a building height of 8.24 meters instead of 8.69 as originally proposed.
Okay.
And this would also affect item number 5 under the North York bylaw. In that bylaw, the revised building height is 8.42 meters instead of the 8.87.
So it gets reduced to 8.42 meters.
That's correct.
And that's variance number 5. Okay, so far we've got changes of variance number 2 being reduced to 8.24 meters and variance number 5 being reduced to 8.42 meters. Committee members, any other changes or anything else you'd like to share?
I'm not sure. I saw a letter of objection online on the AIC. Is that new or?
There is a letter of, oh, sorry, it's a letter of no objection. So it's someone that is actually, I might have misinterpreted. It's a letter of non-objection. So there's someone who's supporting you in this application at number 12 Southwell. So
okay, that's correct.
That's a good thing. So we've got one letter of support I should be putting in. Okay, so that being said, we have no other speakers for this, and I'm wondering if committee members require a presentation or have any questions of the agent here today. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions being raised by committee members. That being said, Ms. Mizrahi, is there anything else you'd like to share before we go into committee for decision?
No, other than the presentation material has been posted online for quite a while. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. So I don't have to present if not required.
Right. Thank you so much. So then what I'll do is I'll take it into committee. Committee members, please note there's urban forestry conditions. There's one letter of support, and there's 2 changes to the application for which the agent has already summarized. Can I have a motion on this application, please? Member Attarodi.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application, which 2 modification variance number 2, the proposed height of the building is now 8.24 meters, and variance number 5, the proposed building height is 8.42 meters. And also would like to attach the staff condition, which the front yard setback be developed substantial accordance with the site plan drawings attached to the report of October 13, 2022, and subjected to urban forestry memo. That's my
Thank
motion.
you. Ms. Attarodi, Member Attarodi has made a motion to approve this application with revisions and conditions. Can I have a seconder for this motion? Seconded by Member Manning. All those in favor? This application, Ms. Mizrahi, has been unanimously approved with condition of urban forestry, as well as the conditions and revisions from the staff report that you have fulfilled. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to item number 22, 253 Brooke Avenue. 253 Brooke Avenue is a proposal to construct a gazebo in the rear yard of an existing single-family dwelling. On file here, I have the agent and one speaker from the area. And the agent, it's two persons noted here, a Chris Marchese and an Andrew Solari. Is either Andrew or Chris on the line?
Yes, good afternoon, Madam Chair. Chris Marchese here, 1040 the Queensway, Unit 814.
Okay, thank you. I note that in this application, sir, you've got only one variance, and I note 2 letters of objection, and there is someone here to speak to that. Have you taken a look at that?
Yeah, yes, I have. And then although I am of the opinion that majority of the concerns, if not all the concerns, aren't related to the variance being proposed, I'm happy to address their concerns in my presentation, which will be brief.
Right, and for that reason, because we've got one speaker, please go ahead and make a brief presentation.
Perfect. Awesome. Before getting into the variance, I'd like to note that there has been no comments from city staff regarding this application that's in front of you today, which usually indicates that they have no objection with the proposal. To provide some context on the application, the current owners purchased the house after it was built and was not associated in any way with the previous decision that came to the committee in 2015. The previous decision permitted a lot coverage of 32%. The proposed gazebo, separate from the existing dwelling, is 168 square feet, which is well below the permitted size of 40 square meters and adds an additional 3% lot coverage. Please note there is no additional coverage being proposed to the existing dwelling. It is also important to note that the gazebo is open on 3 sides and is meeting all other accessory structure requirements, including heights, setbacks, and GFA. This is the only variance pertaining to lot coverage. Due to the technical terms of the bylaw and the fact that the existing house on the previous application was approved at 32%, the property owners would be required to request a variance for any structure on the lot, regardless of the size, whether it's 1 square foot or 168 square feet, due to the fact that the existing dwelling is at 32%. Furthermore, there are plenty of examples where lot coverage has been approved at or the same or higher than what is being proposed today, which further demonstrates that the structure will not be out of keeping with the existing coverages in the area. There are tons of redevelopment and investment in the area, which has led to lots of accessory structures through my review on Google Maps, which includes pools, decks, and standalone structures. I would also like to note that there is not a chimney proposed as part of this application, which can be confirmed by looking at the elevations submitted to the Committee of Adjustment, and the proposed fireplace will not create any smoke concerns or hazards on the neighbors. In brief, it's my opinion that the application in the single variance meets the 4 tests under Section 45(1) of the Planning Act and should be approved, but I will be happy to answer any questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Members, do you have questions for the agent, Mr. Marchese, at this time? There being none, then let's move on to the next speaker on the list, an area resident by the name of Larissa Stefarak. Ms. Stefarak, are you there? Larissa Stefarak.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Thank you. If you could just state your name and address for the records once more, please.
Yes, hello. My name is Larissa Stefarak, and I'm the owner and reside at 249 Brooke Avenue. I'm the second house to the east of the applicant.
Thank you. Please continue and tell us your concerns with this application.
Yes, my concerns is, although there was only one variance noted by the city planners, I do know that when a building goes up, it's going to impose losses on especially the west neighbor. And I found that there was insufficient information within the application to actually describe what's happening. A single line was inadequate. And since the question that there is no chimney, I think that it is not wood burning, that it must be a gas fireplace. And so I think there's insufficient information. I don't think it has, and I think it is too high, although I don't know the actual relationship to the fence, the property line fence between the west neighbor and the applicant, because I think the west neighbor is going to suffer a loss of enjoyment and comfort on their property because of this structure.
Okay, thank you so much for voicing your concerns. I'm going to ask committee members, do you have any questions for Ms. Stefarak? There being none, then I'm going to turn it back to the agent, Mr. Marchese. Can you address the concerns of Ms. Stefarak at this time?
Yes, no problem. No problem, Madam Chair. So the first issue that I heard that she raised was insufficient information. I want to be clear that the application was accepted by the Committee of Adjustment and deemed complete, and the zoning notice that's been provided as part of this application is also complete. We do have to trust the zoning examiners and their expertise, and they did identify one variance at this time. Now, as I say on every application I represent, if during inspection or anything there is another variance that's identified for whatever reason, which we don't expect, it'll be my client's responsibility to come back and obtain that variance or request to obtain that variance. As I stated in my chief, there is no chimney. I'm not sure if it's gas or what the function is, but I can confirm and have confirmed with the clients that there will be no smoke being caused from this, and it's also not in the jurisdiction of the committee to deal with that. She mentioned that the structure is too high. The permitted height of an accessory structure is 4 meters, and we are well below that, and there's no height variance being requested as part of this application. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that rebuttal. I'm going to turn it to committee members. Do you have any questions about this application that you care to ask of Mr. Marchese? There being none, then I'll turn it into committee for decision making. Can I get a motion on this application? Okay, Member Manning.
Through you, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve this application. I think this variance meets the 4-part test. There's no objections from the city, and with no conditions.
Okay, thank you, Member Manning, making a motion to approve this application without condition. Is there, we've got Member Attarodi seconding this. All in favor? Mr. Marchese, your application has been unanimously approved without condition. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and fellow committee members. Have yourself a great day.
Thank you. Moving on now to item number 23. Number 23 is 158 Dalemount Avenue. The agent on line is Mr. Bill Ross, and this is a proposal to construct a first floor rear addition and a partial second floor addition on the west side of the existing dwelling. Mr. Ross, are you there? Mr. Bill Ross? Mr. Bill Ross, are you there? We're hearing a bit of feedback.
Bill, you're connected using 2 devices. Can you please disconnect one of the devices?
I'll remind everyone in the public forum, if you could just only connect to one device, it will help us move things along. Mr. Ross, are you there? We'll just give it a minute. If you do that, and what I could do is I'll let the committee members know that this there are 6 letters of support from surrounding neighbors on this application. And there is someone here who is the owner, a Kayla and a Joshua Burnick and Kayla Goodrich. They're not willing to speak, but we will check in with them to see if there's anything additionally that they'd like to say. So, we're trying to connect right now with the agent. Okay, I think we've got Mr. Ross on speakerphone. Mr. Bill Ross, you're there?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay,
Bill, if you could mute your the audio for your log out of the WebEx.
Okay. What we're going to do is maybe stand this item down for one moment while we'll give Mr. Ross a moment to dial back in. Let's move to item number 24. Members, item number 24 is 305 Greenfield Avenue. And this 305 Greenfield Avenue is proposing a 59.3 meter square addition to the existing 2-story building to accommodate a reception area, an elevator, an exit stairway, and the addition will meet the height and of the existing building. So based on this, we've got a few area residents who would like to speak on this item, 5 to be exact. And we've got one agent on here, Mr. Miles Weeks. Mr. Weeks, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you state your name and address for the records, please?
Yes, my name is Miles Weeks. I'm a senior planner with FOTEN Consultants, and my address is 174 Spadina Avenue, Suite 304.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Weeks, I note that there's 5 area residents who wish to speak on this application. There is a report from the staff on October 13th that has just the standard conditions, so no main requests, it's just the standard conditions. There are 2 letters of support from surrounding neighbors, and Transport Services does have an October 19th staff report that recommends that the application be deferred until the required additional supporting materials are submitted for review and approval. Are you aware of that?
No, I've seen none of those materials. Is that for the correct file? I'm surprised, to be honest. I don't have those comments.
305 Greenfield.
Yes.
Let me just double check here.
Perhaps we can.
Yes, it was a late thing that I had received, and it was Transportation Services, and I'm not sure our planning staff will be pulling it up on screen right now. And it is quite important because it just basically, they go through providing comments that talk about, the ground floor area, an unacceptable parking study, information related to the vacant ground floor area and all uses, as well as the calculated parking rates for all uses, and that they would like the site plan revised. So the site
I see
plan,
those comments now. They must have been uploaded late last night.
Yes.
Can you give me a moment just to quickly review?
Now, there is the opportunity, if you still wish to speak to Transportation Services, we do have the option to defer this application to give you that due diligence to do with them. because in moving forward, you may risk, this application being denied altogether, but it's your choice.
If you can allow me just a moment to review these. The one comment I did want to raise today is that the variance number 3, which these comments appear to speak to, that variance should no longer be required. On Friday, the City of Toronto sent out notice that bylaw 89/2022 and bylaw 125/2022, which you may be aware of, they're the new parking bylaws, which largely eliminated minimum parking requirements across the city. The appeal for those bylaws was resolved, and those bylaws are in effect now, dating back to the initial council approval earlier in 2022. I did reach out to staff regarding this, although their comment to me, I believe it was on Tuesday, was that their report was prepared, they had no comments, and that it would be up to me to raise this.
Okay.
The transportation comments are new, and if it would be more comfortable for the committee, I would be happy to defer the application if that settles things. But if you're happy to simply address the variance, understanding that minimum requirement has been removed, that's fine by myself as well.
I'll call upon the Deputy Secretary Treasurer, Mr. Lamb.
Madam Chair, if the applicant is removing a variance, he needs to read it out for the record.
So if you are removing a variance, then you'd have to read it for the record, that's going to be removed. So you can actually make that revision right here and just say you are removing it, but you would have to actually state that for the record. And then in that case, the October 19th transportation report may not, well, I will double check to see if there's nothing else that may be of concern there. It seems to be predicated on variance number 3. So
if we were to defer, would staff be able to comment, assuming we resolve this quickly in the background, would we be able to, do we know if we'd be able to get on the next agenda hearing, or what would the delay be? Because I certainly don't want to, omit anything, but.
Yes, thank you, and I understand your concerns. We can't really tell you for sure that you'll be on the next agenda. Usually, if it's deferred, it's sine die, and it's the next available agenda that staff can slot you into. But they try to work as quickly as they can. I would say you probably need to be on the safer side. I'm not going to give you suggestion what you need to do. You would have to make that assumption for yourself. But at this time, you still have about 4-5 different persons wishing to speak to this application. Transport still has comments in, and even if you do remove variance 3, completely, I still don't know. I will need to understand if transport services are happy with that, and if there is still no other concerns. So, it's your choice. But if you do wish to defer, you need to ask right now.
Fair enough. So I think just based on what you've said, we'll want to defer just so that you can have the comfort that all technical issues have been addressed. So if we can defer, that would be appreciated.
Okay, thank you for that. Before I go on to the other speakers to ask if a deferral is okay, because there are people who've been waiting to speak to this item, I'll ask committee members, do you have any questions or concerns or comments that you would like to share at this time? Okay, so then let's move on to the next speaker who was on the list. And this is not an opportunity to talk about the concerns you may have. I'm just going to tell the speakers who are coming on now. This is really only about the deferral itself. So do I have a Sam Lee on the line?
Madam Chair, Sam Lee is not on the line. I've tried to reach out, but they haven't picked up.
Okay, thank you so much. Do we have a Peter Wu on the line? Mr. Wu? Mr. Wu?
Mr. Wu, you're unmuted.
Oh.
Yes, hi, Mr. Wu. Can you state your name and address for our records, please?
Wu, 306 Maplehurst Avenue.
Okay, Mr. Wu, you've just heard the agent say that he's making a request to defer the application to address the issues with planning and with transport services at this time, and perhaps he may want to address it with the area residents as well. At this time, do you have any concerns about that? Comments only on the deferral itself.
I'm okay with the defer.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Let's move on to the next speaker, noted, and that's Catherine Chow. Catherine Chow, are you on the line?
This is Catherine Chow from 300 Maplehurst Avenue.
Great. Ms. Chow, do you have any concerns or comments about the deferral request?
I'm okay with the deferral, but can I know something about the transportation report?
Yes, there was a transportation report of October 19th that recommended that this item be deferred because they had some concerns about it. However, the applicant himself has said that City Council had, ratified some agreement around the bylaws and how that's interpreted. And for that reason, this may no longer apply and transport services may change their mind. They've got to work it out with, with the city planning and with transport services at this time.
Oh, I see. Okay. So we'll receive another notice for the meeting in the future.
That's correct.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm okay to defer. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. Let's move on to the next speaker, and that's a Francis Yang. Francis Yang, are you on the line? Francis?
Yes, I'm on the phone right now.
Thank you. Can you provide me with your full name and address again for our records, sir?
Yes, Francis Yang, 306 Greenfield Avenue.
Thank you. Would you like to share your comments or concerns about this deferral request?
Yeah, with my understanding so far, I have no objection to the deferral as long as there will be still a public hearing for us to raise our concern. Yeah.
Definitely, there will be one in the future, and you will be provided notice in advance. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's move on to the next speaker, and that's Mr. James Tam. Mr. James Tam, are you on the line?
Everyone, James Tam, 298 Greenfield Avenue, and I'm also good to defer.
Okay, good stuff. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so I'll go back to the agent, Mr. Miles Weeks. All of the area residents who wish to speak here today are willing to have you defer this application. Sine die to the next available hearing for them to get notice on that. And this will give you a chance to talk to, planning staff as well as transportation services and perhaps the area residents themselves. So is there anything else you'd like to say before I move into decision making with the committee?
No, but thank you for your time and apologize for the confusion for not having spotted those comments earlier today.
No, that's okay. They were late to us as well, and that's all right. And we will move forward at the next one. And once everything is organized, I think that you will at least have a lot more progress with your application. So, with that, I'm going to ask committee members: do you have any questions or concerns at this time that you'd like to share? If not, let's take this into committee for a motion. Can I have a motion on this deferral request, Member Attarodi?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. I would like to put forward a motion to defer this application sine die so that the applicant have enough time to address the transportation concerns and talk with the resident.
Thank you. Member Attarodi making a motion to defer this application sine die. Can I have someone to second that motion? We've got Member Manning seconding this motion. All in favor? Mr. Weeks, your application has been deferred sine die, unanimously voted by the committee members. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So now, committee members, we already have had item 25 deferred from the beginning of this hearing, this afternoon's hearing, and item number 26 has been deferred as well. So let's move on to item number...
Madam Chair, if we could go back to the to Bill.
Oh, sorry. I had forgotten about that. Mr. Ross, the item that had been held down because of audio concerns was item number 23, which is 158 DALEMOUNT Avenue. So, Mr. Ross, are you on the line?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Mr. Ross, can you state your name and address for our records, please?
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. Could you just repeat that?
Can you state your name and address for our records, please?
Oh, my name is Bill Ross. I'm at number 9 Beswick Lane in Uxbridge, Ontario.
Thank you so much.
L9P1G4.
Okay. Mr. Ross, I note that on this file you have 6 letters of support. There is no one who from the area that's speaking against the application. I've only got the owners on the line. And I'm wondering, does the committee need a presentation on this application? I'll ask members. Member Attarodi, would like a, yes?
I would like to get explanation regarding variance number 3, the number of stories, which is 3 versus 2, and also the side yard setback.
Okay. So, Mr. Ross, if you would provide a brief presentation, and in your presentation specifically
Madam Chair, I'm having some difficulty hearing this. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you very well.
So that they can hear you, but
if perhaps we could, can members hear Mr. Ross very well? Yes, they're shaking their heads. They can hear you very well as well. Okay.
Madam Chair, we also have the owner on the line who said that they could assist with speaking in regards to the application.
Okay, so
I could unmute the...
Yes, let's do that then. So then, instead of Mr. Ross speaking, the other persons on the line is Kayla Godrich and Joshua Bernick, and they would like to speak to the application instead of Mr. Ross. So can we bring Kayla Godrich or Joshua Bernick, or the two of you, onto the line, please?
Kayla, you're unmuted.
Hi.
Thank you, Alex.
Yes. If
Hi,
you can,
Madam Chair.
Yes, state your name and address for our records, please.
Thank you. I'm so happy you can hear me. I've been trying to connect with you.
Yes.
Yes, I am Kayla Goldrich. I am the owner of 158 DALEMOUNT, and I am happy to answer any questions on the application.
So what we've had is Member Attarodi has asked that you provide just a quick presentation on this application, but mainly addressing variance number 3. Is that correct? Or Member Attarodi, is there anything further you'd like addressed?
Mainly variance number 3 regarding the number of stories.
Sure, no problem. And I also think you had said number 4 as well, which I'm happy to do. The side yard setback, Mrs. Attarodi, are existing. So we are actually not going any closer to either the left or the right property. The number of stories is a technical variance. We actually have no height variance here whatsoever. We worked both with the zoning examiner and with city to ensure that we had no height variance. So it is because the basement is being counted as a story, which is based on the grading, but it, based on our conversations with city, it is a technical 3rd story as opposed to a real third story. We are not, we are building out a second story. We are not increasing the height. There is no height variance and there is no lot coverage variance.
Does that answer your question, Member Attarodi? Are there any other comments, questions, or needs of committee members? Yes, I see Member Manning. Please go ahead.
I'm just wondering if there's any explanation for the rear yard setback as well.
Sure, yeah, happy to address that one as well, Mrs. Attarodi. So that is an existing terrace. It's a concrete terrace with it's excavated already. So we will be building out onto that existing terrace. There is no shadow effect. The house directly to the left of us already goes further back than we are proposing to go. That's why we had no issues when we approached those neighbors, because their house is further back. And like I said, it is an existing terrace that we are building onto.
Okay, thank you. Does that answer your question, Member Manning? Okay, thank you. All right, so with that, and there's no other speakers, and I note that you're pretty much speaking on behalf of Mr. Ross, the agent, and you are the owner of the house. Is there anything else you'd like to share with committee members before we go into decision making?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just that we have the full support of the neighborhood, six of the neighbors. We had no staff reports on file. And again, if there's any other questions, I've done my research, so I'm happy to answer as much as I can.
Okay, I think you did a good job that way. So
thank you.
Members of the committee, there is 6 letters of support. There's no one to speak to this application, and there are no reports from staff. Can I get a motion on this application, please? Member Manning?
Through you, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve this application. I've listened to the applicant's submissions, and many of the variances are due to existing conditions. There's also no staff report. So I'd like to make a motion to approve with no conditions.
Thank you. Motion from Member Manning to approve this application without conditions. Can I get someone to second this application, please? Seconded by Member Kidd. All those in favor? This application has been unanimously approved. Thank you so much, Ms. Goldrich. This application has been approved without condition. Thank you.
Thank you, and I apologize for all the back and forth. Thank you so much.
Okay, we got through it. Thank you. All right,
Thank you.
Let's move on now to, we note that item number 24 has been dealt with, item number 25 has been deferred, number 26 has been deferred. Let's move now to item number 27. Item number 27 is 206 REINER Road. 206 REINER Road, and this is a proposal to construct a new 2-story single-family detached dwelling with basement walkout and cabana in the rear yard. On file here, I've got the agent and the owner noted. No other persons that are noted on to speak to this application. Is the agent Shervin Fazam Behboudi there? Shervin Fazam Behboudi. Shervin Farzam Behboudi, are you there? Yes, I hear you. Can you state your name and address for our records, please? Mr. Behboudi?
Yes, this is Shervin Farzam Behboudi.
Yes. And state your address, please.
Yeah, this is Shervin Road, 1 Ontario.
Okay, thank you so much. Your audio seems to be cutting in and out for us here, so please make sure you're holding your device steady and speak into the phone. Mr. Behboudi, it's noted here that there's no one else to speak to this application. There's just the owner that's on the line listening, and I will check in with them later. But this property has urban forestry conditions and 3 letters of support from surrounding neighbors. Is there anything you'd like to tell committee members? In fact, I should ask committee members, do you require a presentation or do you have any questions? Yes, Member Attarodi, would you like a presentation?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair, I would like to get explanation regarding the variance number 2, lot coverage of 54% versus 30%. I appreciate an explanation.
Mr. Baboudi, can you address variance number 2?
Sure. Yes, the coverage area is the building. The main building is 28.99%, almost 29% coverage. However, there is a canopy, is the swimming pool proposed at the rear of the building, at the rear yard, and that one is give us 5.55% more coverage. For the green area, we are satisfying the green space in the backyard.
Hello? Mr. Baboudi?
Yep. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you end I heard only up until the green space in the backyard. Did you say anything further? Because you're cutting in and out.
Sure. I'm mentioning the coverage area for the building is main building is less than 30%, is just 28.99%, but the cabana building is a 5.55% equipment. So then because of that equipment and the facility in the back, our coverage go to the 34.54%.
You're cutting in and out, Mr. Baboudi.
Sherwin, we can hear you.
Is that possible? I'll give you a call.
Yes, you could call in. And then using the number and the email, there's a call-in option.
We're just going to await Mr. Baboudi to try us again. Would you like me to check in with the owner as well on the file at this time? They're not on the call. Okay. So the Cesare Salerno and Faustina Lanzelotti are not on the call, but they are the owners. There's no other speakers noted for this file, and letting committee members know that there's just urban forestry has conditions and 3 letters of support from surrounding neighbors. Okay, we're trying to get Mr. Baboudi back on the line as quickly as we can.
So, through you, Madam Chair, I have a question from city staff. I would like to know if it's recommended that we just, for the variance number 2, we just, instead of putting the proposed lot coverage 54% of lot area, and add that the lot coverage of the dwelling is 29.89%. Is it something that we can do? That's a question from city staff. Or tie it to the site plan in case.
It's up to you. Both would work. But if you want to break up the coverage, you can note that.
Okay, I can note that at the end of the variance number 2, right?
Correct. But the total coverage, the coverage listed in a public notice cannot change.
Yes, I just add an explanation that the existing building coverage, how much is the existing lot coverage?
If it can be confirmed, that's fine.
Perfect. Yes, I'll double check and I'll get the number one more time. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Member Atarodi. Now we'll go back to the agent, Mr. Baboudi. Can we hear you clearly now?
Yes. Hopefully you have me. The answer to your question, the maximum coverage permitted is 30%. The main building is just under the 30%, 28.99% of the area, but the cabana and the swimming pool facility is at the rear yard is 5.55%. That is causing our coverage going to more than permitted coverage. But the main building is less than what is required, which is 30%.
Member Atarodi, does that help your concerns?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Do I have any other questions from other panel members? There's no one else to speak to this application, and this application does have urban forestry conditions, 3 letters of support, as I've stated. Can I get a motion from the membership? Member Atarodi.
Yes, to you, Madam Chair. I'm ready to put forward a motion to approve this application. I only want to add one sentence at the end of the variance number 2, that the variance number 2 is now read the proposed lot coverage is 34.54% of the lot area, and the lot coverage of existing dwelling is 29%. And I leave it like that, and also subjected to urban forestry.
Okay, I'm wondering if city staff got that. Okay, they're nodding that they did. So thank you. A motion from Member Atarodi with one revision to variance number 2 in the way it reads. And from there, I'm asking, is there anyone who will second this motion? Member Manning seconds the motion. All those in favor? That motion unanimously carries. Mr. Baboudi, your application has been approved with the revisions to variance number 2 as was requested by Member Atarodi. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now moving on.
Have a beautiful day.
Thank you, you too. Moving on, members, to item number 28. Item number 28 is 85 Albertus Avenue. 85 Albertus Avenue has the agent and 3 persons wishing to speak on this item. Glenn Rubinoff is the agent. Mr. Rubinoff, are you there?
Hello, good afternoon.
Thank you. Can I have your name and address, Mr. Rubinoff, for the record?
Yes. Yes, it's Glenn Rubinoff, 18 Gloucester Lane, Toronto, Ontario.
Okay, thank you so much. I note on this file, this is a proposal to construct a new 2-story dwelling with an integral garage and rear deck. There have been Committee of Adjustment previous reports and TLAB decisions that were previously made on this property. Urban Forestry has conditions, and there's 16 letters of objection. Because we have folks wishing to speak to this application, Mr. Rubinoff, if you don't mind giving us a presentation on this matter in under 5 minutes. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. You should also note that there are, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I believe you have 8 letters of support as well in the application. I'll start with the changes. We have some. This has been a project that's been going on for quite some time. We did come to committee once before and requested variances for a new home, and it was approved by the committee. At the time, it went through, it was appealed by a neighbor to go through TLAB, and it was a long, drawn-out process. They finally came back with a negative result. My clients who have committed to staying on the site, we came back and decided that we wanted to find a way to bring down and negotiate with neighbors and bring things more in keeping, should I say, smaller than what's been approved in the area. It was approved last time because it did fit in with the redevelopment in the neighborhood. This map that you have before you does show that there's several variances that have been granted by a committee exceeding what we're proposing. But today, after having several negotiations with both immediate neighbors, there are a couple of changes we'd like to make on the variances. If I might proceed with that first.
Yes, please.
So variance number 1, the front yard soft landscaping, we will eliminate variance number 1.
Okay, variance 1 eliminated. Go ahead.
Okay, variance number 3, reduction of proposed floor space index to 61.9% instead of the proposed 64%. And 60% is what's permitted there.
Thank you.
So it's just a minor variance in that regard. Item number 4, setting the house, and this was a part of the discussion with the neighbors, was the location of the front wall. So we've adjusted the front wall to set it further back at 6.9 meters from the front lot line instead of the proposed 6.6. That's variance number 4. Variance number 5, as a result of shifting the house forward, variance number 5 and variance number 6 are both at 2.09 meters, where 2.39 meters was proposed. And the final variance number 7 is the building length. It was reduced from 16.51 to 16.00 meters. So we brought it down to 16 meters. And that's the final change before you. And this is as a result of several discussions with the neighbors, trying to find some resolution, trying to find some agreement. They did canvass the neighbors, and they did get several neighbors write letters of support in. We did not end up reaching agreement with the immediate neighbors, but we certainly made an effort. As you'll note, there's no city staff report. They had no concerns on the original application, and they had no concerns on this application either. And this is significantly shorter than what was proposed previously. I think we've made some very reasonable efforts here to, again, bring it down. We're not as long as the house at number 87 in terms of they have an extension at the back and a 20-foot deck beyond their home. We're trying to work with everybody here. It's been challenging, I have to say, but ultimately we feel that what's being presented before you today it does meet the 4 tests. So I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Rubinoff. I do note that we do have on file your letters of support, and it's not 8, it's 9. It's 9 letters of support. And also, I do note that the changes, just to read that through again, is number 1 is eliminated, number 3 is reduced as FSI to 61.9%. Number 4 changes where the front wall setback is now to 6.9 meters, and number 5 and 6 are both changed to 2.9 meters, and number 7
2.09.
2.09 meters. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
And variance number 7 is reduced to 16 meters. That being said, committee members, do you have any questions of Mr. Rubinoff before we move on to the area residents speaking? Yes, I see.
Don't, but
Yes.
Madam Chair, could you repeat the revisions again? I think I'm a little bit
Yes.
confused because I thought you said there was a change to variance number 2, and I don't believe there was.
Sorry.
No variance.
No. Variance number 1 is the FSI is, hang on, let me just double check this. Sorry, variance number 1 is eliminated. Variance number 3 has been reduced, the FSI, to 61.9%. Variance number 4, the front yard setback, is now 6.9 meters. And variance number 5 and 6 have been increased in terms of the proposed canopy encroachment and platform encroachment to decreased to 2.09 meters. And variance number 7, the proposed building length is now 16 meters as opposed to 16.51 meters.
Okay, I guess my only confusion was variance number 4, the proposed front yard setback was 6.6 meters?
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay, and now it's 6.9. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
No problem at all, Member Manning. And so are there any other questions or concerns that you'd like to raise before we move on to the speakers? Okay, there being none, let's move on to the first speaker that's noted, and there's a few of them here, but the first speaker is Wendy Orbach, or Orbach. Wendy Orbach?
Hello.
Hello. Can you state your name and address for our record, please?
Wow, you made me nervous. It cut out there for a second. Thank you for having a very calm meeting. My name is Wendy Orbach, 83 Albertus, but I have a quick question for you before I begin. How can they make so many changes to a plan without then recirculating it to a neighborhood so that we can take a more closer look at it to decide whether we support it or oppose it? Because we haven't had the chance to look at this like earlier deferrals. I think there should be a deferral because I don't know what this really means. And, I did not support any of these, neither did the other abutting neighbor. So I would just like to have a moment to be able to review it. And I think that takes some time for regular people.
Okay, and that's well noted.
And I need professional advice as well.
Right, so you're noting that you would prefer a deferral because these changes are in excess of what you thought would occur, and
well, there's 6 variance changes. There's 6 of them. Isn't there 6?
Yes, there are.
I mean, that's a lot to start. How can I even visualize that?
I think, and Mr. Rubinoff will have a chance to address that, but I believe he had said he was trying to make them better in terms of his conversations with the area residents. So he was trying to address their concerns.
But he did not. Mr. Rubinoff never spoke with me or Miss Lucas, the people who are most affected by this project.
Okay, duly noted. Is there anything else you'd like to share? Because he'll have a moment to address that as well.
This was already adjudicated at TLAB.
I think that was...
And it was refused on all variances were refused. Okay, well, I'm ready to do my speech. How about that? I don't want to waste anyone's time. I just wanted it noted.
Yes.
That I think that these are a lot of variances, a lot of changes, and it's very difficult for a regular neighbor to be able to conceive or perceive. You can't use my time now. You have to reset it. I want to do my speech. Can you please reset my time?
I'm giving you the time to complete it. So your 5 minutes starts now. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. You can see this is very emotional for us.
I understand.
And this is never anything any of us wanted. Anyhow, we're not against development, but against overdevelopment of a small 25-foot lot. A 2-day TLAB hearing was conducted with 4.5 hours of testimony from the opposing planner, and it was clear Chair Goba Krishna refused all the variances. as not minor, and the proposed house did not meet the official plan. The current application does not differ significantly, and you can compare house plans from 2020 and 2022. They are nearly identical, with only a switch of the master bathroom and a reduction of only 1.1 meter. So now what is it? 1.5 and from the adjudicated plan. Additionally, there are missing and miscalculated. Okay, well, that's no longer. There are 17 letters of objection, including the Lytton Park Residents Association. This is a land use planning. It must use land use language, planning for the official plan 4.51 A to H, OP 320, immediate context, and define a subject area. There is no concept of precedent in land use planning, nor should a proposed house be derived from an average of COA decisions that are at best minimal and outliers in a neighborhood. I credit Mr. Rubinoff for providing a map of the area and what he deems irrelevant COA decisions. However, since this is a land use tribunal, what becomes most important is the prevailing character of the neighborhood and immediate context. At our TLAB hearing, both planners agreed Albertus Avenue between Duplex and Rosewell Avenue should be the immediate context. Mr. Rubinoff's map has identified 324 homes, of which he has cited 24 in the broader context. There are 86 homes in the immediate context, and Mr. Rubinoff has cited 12. Let's go to page 4 of my document, where we see recent COA and TLAB decisions. The most recent at 76 Albertus, which was refused at its first COA hearing for a length of 1605 meters and approved at its second hearing for a length of 1594. But that's only on the first floor. Please note from your records, the second floor is only 12.70 meters long, and please excuse my typo of 17.6. 108 Albertus was refused at TLAB for a length of 15.5 meters. 151 Rosewell was refused at 15.4 meters. Pages 22, 23, 24, and 25 in my letter, if you could go to those pictures on page 22, 23, 24, 25, illustrate the largest concern to us is the greatest length to both abutting neighbors, causing major adverse impacts to our rear yard, shadow, loss of sunlight, privacy, our right to quiet enjoyment. On page 21, there are 3 new 14-meter bylaw compliant homes in evidence. Just look across the street. 92 and 96 Albertus are both 14 meters with 4 bedrooms and integrated garages. 88 Albertus is also 14 meters. Mr. Rubinoff's map shows 2 new homes with integrated garages that are 14 meters in length. 149 and 21 Albertus and 133 Albertus is also 14 meters. Photos on page 27 and 28 reflect the prevailing character of our area, and all the homes nearby are 14 meters or less. On page 13, the photo shows the adverse impact. This is important. Page 13, please. The photo shows the adverse impact of the built form of 110 and 112. The abutting neighbors feel like this is a prison wall and not minor. On pages 11 and 12, you can see the impact of 33 Craighurst on the abutting neighbor at 35. These 2 houses in their original state mirrored our home at 85 Albertus. How would you like to live beside the imposing black mass and scale of 159 Albertus? Let's further unpack Mr. Rubinoff's map. 4 houses are not even in the zoning area. Alexandra, Lytton, and 211 Briar Hill. 136, 45 Briar Hill, and 157 Rosewell are only 1-story additions. 140, 27 Alberta, 140 and 20 are 31 and 30-foot lots, respectively. 118, 189, 183 Albertus have A-lined pitched open gable roofs.
Okay, I'll ask you to summarize, Ms. Orbach, if you can just summarize.
I've got 2 more paragraphs. On page 5, Mr. Romano's chart for FSI clearly indicates the proposed FSI does not fit with the prevailing character. At the TLAB hearing for 85, the builder's planner stated,
okay, Ms. Orbach, I'm so sorry.
I have one sentence left.
Okay.
Can I just finish my sentence, please?
Okay, go ahead.
I just appreciate it. The builder's planner stated every house must be evaluated on its own merit. The current plans for 80 on this street, on this lot.
Okay, I'm
with
going to have
these
to stop
abutting
you
nearby-
there. Can we stop? I'm sorry, Miss Orbach, but we did give you a little extra time, and I know that these things are very emotional for folks. I tried to give you more time, but we have to be fair to everybody who's joining in. You're only supposed to have 5 minutes, and I want to really stick to that. But we've heard your concerns loud and clear. We do have the supporting material in our application here, and so we need to move on to the next speaker. So the next speaker online is Mr. Gampero de Pasquale. Mr. Gampero de Pasquale, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Giampiero de Pasquale.
Okay.
And I am the owner of 172 Albertus.
Okay, Mr. De Pasquale, can you tell us your thoughts on this, trying not to repeat what the previous, area resident has already said, but we'd like to hear your concerns.
Well, thank you, members of the committee. To make it clear, I am speaking in support of my neighbors. I am the owner of 172 Albertus, and I have reviewed the minor variances requested for 85 Albertus, and I am in full support of the minor variances requested. To be clear, the variances requested are minor in nature and desirable for the neighborhood and the City of Toronto to maintain its growth pattern. The official plan is intended to ensure that the City of Toronto evolves and improves. Development of new houses such as 85 Albertus are appropriate and imperative to ensure that our neighborhoods continue to grow. The proposed home can support more people and a larger family, which is critical in keeping up with Toronto's growing population. Furthermore, new homes on Albertus are characterized by integral garages. There are several benefits of integral garages. Primarily, it removes cars off the street. Currently, Albertus, with its proximity to Yonge Street, is lined with visiting cars parked on both sides of the street. This causes complications for garbage pickup, snow removal, and reduces general aesthetics. But most importantly, finding parking spots for residents becomes difficult. I strongly support the current proposal, which includes an integral garage. The Committee of Adjustment has previously and correctly approved similar homes in the immediate area, which have sought larger variances than what the applicants at 85 Albertus are requesting. For support, attach an appendix to demonstrate some of the approved variances. The proposal, similar to hundreds of newly built homes in the Eglinton-Lawrence area. Separately, it is important to note that the applicants are excellent members of the community and wonderful neighbors. They are visible in the community, they actively participate at John Ross, and they have attended the Albertus Avenue Street Party. Quite frankly, the opposition to this application is misdirected. At its worst, it's vexatious, frivolous, and shameful. The opposition against this young family is indicative of the NIMBYism issue facing the city at large. A very small group of loud neighbors have bullied these applicants and have created a nightmare for a young family. They are just trying to build a home for themselves. The opposition has twisted the processes of the Committee of Adjustment and TLAB to extort the applicants. The earlier speaker's suggestion that a deferral is required is unwarranted. The earlier speaker has had an opportunity to speak at earlier Committee of Adjustment hearings and TLAB hearings. They oppose all development in the area, including proposals at 72 Albertus across the street and 172 Albertus down the road. Collectively, they have cost taxpayers extraordinary sums of money, clogging up planning hearings with their rudeness and unprofessionalism. The hypocrisy is palpable.
Okay, I'd like us to sort of stick to the concerns about especially the variances, and anything else that's, directly directed towards the application as opposed to the neighbors and the concerns around them. Why is it important that—
Thank you, Ms. Chair. I will redirect. Thank you, Ms. Chair. I will redirect. Earlier today, I was at a TLAB hearing. An oral decision was granted for the approval of a new single-family dwelling of 172 Albertus Avenue. The decision was of support for a 17-meter and a 0.69 FSI single-family dwelling. It's important to note that the current plans submitted by the applicants have a length of 60 meters and an FSI of 0.619 meters. That is less than the recent TLAB decision this morning at 172 Albertus, and less than many of the other variances that have been approved at the Committee of Adjustment in the past. To conclude, I strongly support the Committee of Adjustment approving the minor variances. There is broad support for this application. Thank you very much, members of the committee.
Thank you so much for that. Members, do you have any questions of Mr. De Pasquale or the previous speaker, Ms. Wendy Orbach, that you would like to share? There being none, we're going to go to the next speaker. The next speaker on file is Crisula Lucas. Crisula Lucas, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please state your name and address for our records, please.
Hi, yes, thank you, I will. My name is Crisula Lucas, and I live at 87 Albertus Avenue.
Thank you. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this application, please.
Thank you. So we are the abutting neighbors to the west of this proposed build. Our home is actually just mere inches away. So we have great interest in seeing this property developed properly within the prevailing character of our street. It is interesting, this new application does not differ significantly from the application that was rejected, even with the changes that are made here today, as a surprise as they came to us, because there were many opportunities for them to share with us. The panel chair, Gobru Krishna, delivered a 25-page decision just this year on June 24th. All the rejections were made, all the variances were rejected. It is unfortunate that today the applicant is restarting this process with almost a nearly identical application with the hope of changing the outcome. The Lytton Park resident, as the other abutting neighbor mentioned, also chimed in and said that it too believed that it was not a meaningful change. And these changes do not represent the prevailing character of our neighborhood. It does not reflect the homes in the immediate context. It does not maintain the intent of zoning bylaw, and the action does not respect the Committee of Adjustment process, nor the appeals process or our city resources. So here we find ourselves again through this process. We find it disheartening that as the abutting neighbors, it wasn't until this October that the new owners met with us. And they admitted that we were the last people that they consulted with after seeking the support of other people and new builders up the street like 172. All summer, they went around offering template letters that they could fill out in support. Sure, they wanted the community to sympathize that they haven't been permitted to build this home for 2 years, but if they planned to build a home respectful of the bylaws and of us, our neighbors, they could have been a welcome part of our community 2 years ago. So let's look, it's a personal choice not to build a home within the city bylaws. You know, we did renovate respectfully our century-old home, as was mentioned by Mr. Rubinoff, but he neglected to tell you that it was a one-story addition that remained within the bylaws, and it respects our neighbors, and it doesn't have any adverse impacts. So eliminating just this meter of length shows that they really have no interest in our concerns or our impact to our homes and our lives. In fact, these variances that they added since the last time would further see our home impacted at the front as they reduce the front yard setback. And when we presented them with ideas of recent builds across the street that they were all done respectfully, their response was that it was not economically feasible. You know, so there's 17 letters of objections to this build again. And most especially, we oppose the variance. Well, it is an impactful impact on our home. It is not consistent with the COA decisions for properties of a similar size. No, it's not a single-story proposal that they seek. In essence, it's like 3 floors of this great length running 1.5 feet away from my home, casting shadows and obliterating the views that we enjoy currently. The length of their proposed home will cause enormous impact to my family's privacy, as they will be able to look right into our family room a mere 18 inches away. They will block our sun and our lighting, and this proposed length will create shadows, and the views from our bedrooms will be obliterated as we become boxed in. You know, there is no other home in Lower Albertus of this length. This is not minor, and we ask that you reject it as TLAP did. Now, the other variances, like 5 and 6, that the owners seek approval, they actually further add to their home, but this time they do it in the front with the inclusion of a second-story front porch and a canopy. So now they want a setback of a change to 6.9 meters, but the required is 7.7. So allowing these variances today, committee, would essentially see them build their home much further ahead of ours, and it will be extremely impactful and not in keeping with the prevailing characteristics of our neighborhood. The character of our street is one where the front porches of the houses, they all line up. This allowing these variances would permit them to build their home ahead of ours, impeding our views, blocking us in, and unfairly diminishing our home's presence. So now they propose to start their home 7 feet ahead of our front wall with a 3-story build that has a flat roof. And instead, we propose that the new build start between the abutting neighbors, avoiding the negative impact and privacy issues. Specifically, as an abutting neighbor whose bedrooms face the front of Albertus, the roof
I'll ask you
and
to
canopy will
summarize,
block
please.
us.
You're running out of time.
Yes, this is
so
my
please
last
summarize.
sentence.
Yes.
I appreciate that. This is my last. Okay, so the canopy will block our views and diminish our front yard in the presence of our home. So we ask the committee to refuse this application as the proposed variances and the impact to the abutting neighbors are not minor or desirable. Thank you so much for hearing.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Members, committee members, do you have any questions of Ms. Lucas? No questions there, and we do have your letter on file. I wanted to note that. Let's move on then to the last speaker that I've got noted on here, and that's Jennifer Casaba. Jennifer Casaba, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, if you could state your name and address for our records, please.
Jennifer Casaba, 80 Briar Hill Avenue.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Casaba, can you tell us your concerns or your thoughts on this application, please?
Thank you, Chair. Hello, Chair and members of the Committee of Adjustment. My name is Jennifer Casaba. I live at 80 Briar Hill Avenue with my husband and my 2 daughters. My house backs onto 85 Albertus, and I share a back fence with 85 Albertus. Since August of 2022, I have been discussing the proposal with Mr. and Mrs. Marcello. They have explained to me the purpose for all of the variances they are seeking. They have answered my many questions. I support their proposal and ask for you to please consider approving it today. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you so much. Committee members, do you have any questions of Ms. Casaba today? There being none, then I will bring it back to the agent, Mr. Rubinoff. You've heard very strong views from 2 of the neighbors who are directly impacted, as well as 2 letters of support from those who are also directly in the area. Can you, in 5 minutes, share your thoughts and your rebuttal on all of these arguments that are being made?
Yes, thank you very much. It's a very heated discussion that went on here, and it's been like that, a contentious discussion, I would say, for the past 2.5 years. The discussions were happening even up to I believe even as early as this morning. I know that my client's lawyer has been speaking with their representative through them, trying to see if there was a way to work out an agreement. So I didn't personally speak with them, but I have to say that there was efforts made right to the last minute to try to come up with some resolution, because that's the goal. My clients are planning to live here, raise their family here. They have no interest to create, enemies or misunderstandings or just bad feelings. They just want to build a house and live in the area. And the comments of the speakers who spoke in support as you can see, it's not all, there's a lot of people who recognize that this is not expanding beyond, in fact, it's a lesser development than what has been approved in the area. It just happens to be that it's contentious between the neighbors. If you could pull up the survey for a second, the neighbor at 87 talked about the, if you could zoom in on the front there, the top, the current house at 85 is in line with 83. The proposed house at 85 is actually set back further from the street. So it's actually going to have less impact on 87. 87 talks about how we're building further in front. We're actually building further back. I should also point out that the existing house is less than a foot. In fact, it touches on the property line right now. The proposed house is proposed to be 2 feet away from the property line. So again, we're moving away from the neighbor at 87 and we're pulling it back. So their comments about how we're making it worse for them by pulling it forward is difficult to fathom where that comes from, considering the improvement that's happening to the placement of the home. The adjustments that, the TLAP case was a different house. My clients came back, they looked at it and they said, let's do what we can do to live with our family here. And we made significant reductions. The original application, I believe there was a length variance of 17.6 meters. Now we're down to 16 meters. It's a significant change. We've also have a density difference of just over 1% over what the bylaw permits. So I wouldn't by any means call this an overbuild in any way. I think that this is a reasonable application. It respects the neighborhood. Again, they've been trying to work with the neighbors throughout, but there was, unfortunately, a lot of dissension, and that's kind of how it's ended up. So I have nothing else really to say on this other than I feel that the application as revised today, eliminating the soft landscaping variance in the front, I think is appropriate, and I think it meets the 4 tests. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Mr. Rubinoff. I'll turn to committee members. Do you have any questions whatsoever for Mr. Rubinoff, comments or concerns, anything that you'd like to share? Okay, there being none, and knowing that this has been quite a contentious debate, I'll give you guys a few moments to sort of absorb that. And, when you're ready, a motion, please. Okay, Member Atarodi.
Yes, to you, Madam Chair. I was carefully listened to the neighbors and also the applicant, and also I went and reviewed the previous decision committee of adjustment, which was in 2022, and I compared the variance to this. So the applicant improved at least 3 of those, more than 3 of those variants. The first for like the FSI length, and also he complied with the front yard landscaping. He eliminated that variance, which is also an improvement. And also before he had driveway variance that he completely removed. So, and then the variants that are in front of us, he also modified them. And I think the modified version of the application is it's minor. I understand the frustration of the neighbors that there are so many changes and they might need more time. but whatever is in front of me with the modification, it satisfies me that it's minor. Therefore, I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with the following changes. Variance number 1 is eliminated. Variance number 2 stayed the same. Variance number 3, the proposed floor space index is now 0.619 times, which is very minor. The variance number 4, the proposed front yard setback is now 6.9 meter. Variance number 5, the proposed platform encroachment is 2.09 meter to the required front yard setback. Variance number 6, the proposed canopy encroachment is now 2.09 meter into the required front yard setback. And also variance number 7, the maximum building length is now 16 meter. And also this, I would like to subject it to urban forestry memo.
Okay.
That is my motion.
Thank you, Member Atarodi. You're motioning to approve this application with the modifications that were already stated by the applicant here today, as well as urban forestry. Do I have anyone to second this motion here today? Seconded by Member Manning. All those in favor? This application has been unanimously approved with the urban forestry conditions and with the revisions made by the agent here today. As previously stated, Mr. Rubinoff, your application has been approved with those conditions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, do members need a few minutes break at all? It's been a couple hours, so.
It would be great if we can get a break.
Yeah, 5-10 minutes. How much? 10 minutes? Yeah, we'll give 10 minutes. Thank you.
It's better than that. Thank you very much.
See you back at 4:32. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome back, members. Thank you. So what we're going to do is move on to item number 29. Number 29 is 94 Hillcrest Avenue. This is to construct a new 2-story dwelling. And the agent on this file, and there's only one person speaking, that's the agent, is Mehran Hedari. Mr. Hedari, are you there? Mr. Mehran?
Hello, Madam Chair, Mr. Member of the committee. My name is Mehran Hedari, 1090 Don Mills Road, Unit 506.
Thank you. Mr. Hedari, I understand that this application is to construct a new 2-story dwelling. There's only urban forestry that has conditions. There's no one else to speak to this application. Let me just ask committee members, do you require a presentation on this, or do you have any questions or comments on this application? None at this time. Mr. Hedari, if you hold one moment, we're getting some information.
I cannot hear you.
I was just asking them if there was something that was required for this application, because they were getting new information in real time. So that was we've declared that there is nothing new for this application. So, Mr. Hedari, is there anything you would like to share with the committee members before they go into committee around this application?
No, there is nothing to add.
Okay, thank you so much. Members, as indicated, there's no one else to speak to this application, just urban forestry conditions. Can I get a motion, please? Member Kidd?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I feel the proposed variances are minor in nature and meet the 4 tests under the Planning Act. I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application subject to forestry condition.
Motion from Mr. Kidd, Member Kidd, to approve this application subject to forestry. Can I get someone to second this motion, please? Seconded by Member Manning. All those in favor? Mr. Hedari, your application has been approved with conditions of urban forestry. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Okay, committee members, if I can turn your attention to item number 31. As you are aware, item number 30 has been deferred. So item number 31, the property address is 166 Moore Park Avenue. This is a proposal to construct a new 2-story single-family detached dwelling with integral garage and rear deck. There are 7 signatures and letters of objections, and we do have 5 area residents who would like to speak to this application. The agent on file is Mr. Jonathan Benskowski. Mr. Benskowski, are you there?
I'm here, Madam Chair.
If you
I'm
could
here,
state,
Madam Chair.
Yes, if you could state your name and address just for the record, please.
Jonathan Benskowski, 301 Keewatin Avenue.
Thank you. Mr. Benskowski, seeing that we have so many people who would like to talk to this application and letters of opposition, would you mind giving us a brief presentation on the merits of your application?
Absolutely, Madam Chair. If we could go to the site plan, please. So the proposal before, as mentioned, is for a new 2-story dwelling. This is somewhat of an area that is undergoing some reinvestment with the replacement of bungalows with similar built forms of what is being proposed before you today. What we see here in terms of the building length, the actual rear wall of the proposed dwelling is built to the rear of the east dwelling at the bottom of the screen, and is approximately about 1 foot 4 inches beyond the rear wall of the adjacent dwelling to the west. In terms of the variances, to deal with them directly, the 2 variances under the old North York zoning bylaw are due to a grade difference of 0.71 meters between the center line of the road and the actual established grade. So the height under 569/2013, as visualized from Moore Park Avenue, is as per the zoning bylaw at 10 meters. The side main wall height is for a modest increase of 0.5 meters. And if we could bring up a side elevation, please. That, in my opinion, due to the generous side yard setbacks of 1.83 meters on either side, would have minimal impact. That's also taking into account the location of the adjacent dwellings to the east and the west, with one being beyond the rear wall and one being about 1 foot 4 inches one being behind and one being in front of the rear main wall. That mitigates the impact of that, as that real main wall variance is really to protect the side views of neighbors and that dwelling not encroaching too far into the rear. What they would actually see in their rear area would not be this dwelling itself. In my opinion, the proposal is good planning. I believe it satisfies the 4 tests, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Benskowski. Members, do you have any questions, comments, or concerns for Mr. Benskowski? There being none, let's then move on to the first speaker, the area resident Beth Little and John Mayboom. Beth Little and John Mayboom, are you there? Yes, I can hear you. If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
John Mayboom, and I'm at 183 Moore Park Avenue.
Okay, and Beth Little is at your side, I'm presuming?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great, thank you. Can I hear from you what exactly your concerns are with this application? You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. So we also have with us Mrs. Maria Pascali and Mrs. Alexandra Nushis, who are residents neighboring the property.
Are each of you going to speak, or is one person representing the group and speaking for everyone, the concerns of everyone?
No, so I think they each would like to say something.
Okay, I'll try to ask you to make sure you're not repeating the concerns that were already heard by other members. It wouldn't advance the cause. We just want to hear what all the issues are, not the repetition of them, okay? So let's begin with you. Mr. Mayboom, please go ahead.
Yeah, so my concern with this is really the height of the property, the height variance, which does not seem like a minor variance to me. And it does seem very much to me that it's when you add the height variance and the length variance together, it will create a much more imposing property than what is supposed to be on that site. And so we would just ask that it be modified to stay within the bylaws. I don't really understand, or the allowed property, that there would be no variance. I don't understand why variances are so readily allowed, especially when they're of such a substantial nature. I mean, this is an 11% increase in the height of what is allowed. And so that is my main concern, and I share this partly because we stand with our neighbors who will find that height will create additional shading into the backyard of their homes.
Thank you. Committee members, do you have any questions of Mr. Mayboom or Ms. Beth Little? No questions at this time. I understand that Alexandra Nushis is there with you. Can Alexandra Nushis come on the line, please?
Yes, I'm Alexandra Nushis, and I'm east of the home to be built.
Please tell me your address, Ms. Nucius.
164 Moore Park Avenue.
Thank you. Please share with me your concerns on this application.
Yes. Well, I have a back split, which is 2,600 square feet. This home is double of mine, and they are stretching out lengthwise and wide, and also adding a pool in the backyard. And I'm very concerned about the water. Where is the water going to go when all this rain comes onto that roof? Because I've had friends where they get snow from the neighbors onto their property because the homes are too close now and the roofs are too high. In the early 2000s, Toronto experienced a big storm. And I don't ask me why, but we had someone from the city come and they checked my lot, and the builder built my home under grade from the house on the left and the house on the right. We had 6 feet of water in a basement. And I'm really concerned now with this new house. I don't know what's going to happen to me. Do I have to sell and leave? I'm 78 years old. I am the first owner of this home. I love the area. I love the neighbors, but this person, if he really wanted to build, he should stay within his limits. And also, I don't want any outlets from his furnace because that's the section where I spend most of my time. I have a porch outside my kitchen, right next to his building now. And I enjoy breakfast out there in the summertime. I have lovely lilac trees and flowers there. I don't know what's going to become of my lot. I have a backyard garden where I grow my vegetables. So what's going to happen to that? And you know, in this day and age, I think it's very important that we all try to take part in growing something rather than expanding our buildings and covering everything we can. And that's all I can say. I don't know what else to tell you, but the variances are not appropriate for this area.
Okay, thank you for that. And you did share your concerns very well. You did very well. And I agree with you on growing gardens. I do agree with that. But we'll hear what the agent has to say about this. Let's ask committee members, do you have any questions or concerns that you want to share with Ms. Nucius? There being none, let's move on to Maria Pascali. I think you're there as well. Maria Pascali, can you come on the line?
Yes, my name is Maria Pascale, and I live at 178 Moore Park, beside the house that they want to build.
Okay.
And the reason, and we're not happy because they're going to give us too much darkness. We senior, we have a garden in the back. We spend a lot of time in the back. So we have if they build a different house and normal house. Because this street, it's just a residence house for everybody. We don't like it to have the house really high, and we have a darkness.
Right, so you're worried about sunlight effects and taking away
Of
the
course.
sun. Okay. All
Of
right.
course, because we senior.
Yes, I understand. So is there anything else you'd like to share? Okay, if not, I'll ask committee members.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
This is Alexandra Duchess, and they're proposing to build this home maybe a foot or two forward on the front lawn, which is going to take the. I sit on my front porch a lot too. I have 2 porches, one in the front and one in the back, and I won't be able to see left of me down the street like I usually do.
Right, so you're talking about it makes uneven streetscape is what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
thank you.
exactly.
All right. So committee members, any questions for this group of speakers before we move on to the next one? Okay, thank you all for that. Now we move on to a totally new speaker in a different area, Mr. John Crisati. Mr. Crisati, are you there?
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Hello?
Yes, if you can
Yes,
state
it's
your
John
name.
Crasati at
It's John Cressati at 187 Moore Park Avenue. I live across the street from the home to be constructed. My wife and I submitted the letter in which we had 8 neighbors sign opposing the construction. My neighbors have gone through most of our points. One is the fact that they're asking for coverage of 32% compared to 30 or 31.98. These are large lots. 30% is a large home. There's not really a reason why you need to add another 2%. From a street point of view, the first floor is going to be raised higher than the bylaw. The streetscape, as we say, we're neighbors, we talk, we sit in the front yard, and this is just going to ruin the look of our neighborhood. And we don't oppose new houses. It'll probably be the tallest house in the street, in our section of the street. And once again, we're just concerned that every single house that gets built, it goes a little bit higher. So this one gets an extra 1.5 foot higher. The next one will be another 1.5 foot higher. And we're waiting for the committee to say enough is enough at some point. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Cressati. Members, do you have any questions of this speaker? Okay, there being no questions, let's go to the last speaker for this application, and that's Julie Lauren. Julie Lauren, are you there?
I never said I was for this application.
Yes, and if you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Okay, my name is Julie Lauren. I live at 166 Moore Park Avenue.
Okay, so you're the owner of the house?
Oh, no, I rent. I was not told about any of this.
Okay, so would you like to share your concerns about that, please?
My concerns are I signed a lease and not told of any of this at all. I have a notice be put up on my wall, on my window. I asked why. They said it was just going to be a minor, nothing to worry about. And now I'm being found out that it is. They are actually building a house. I only moved in April. I was not told when I signed my lease in April.
Okay.
I'm a little upset.
Understood. Okay, and that may not be in the purview of this committee, but we will certainly give the agent a chance to respond to any of these concerns as he possibly can.
Yeah, I apologize. I did not want to speak. I just wanted to hear what the hearing was about. I just wanted to.
Yeah, no.
I wanted to just listen.
That's okay, and your points are well taken. So thank you for that. Members, do you have any questions at all of the speaker? Okay, there being none, thank you, Ms. Lauren. Let's move it back to Mr. Benskowski. Mr. Benskowski, you've heard all of the concerns of the neighbors within this community. What can you state in rebuttal to all of them?
Yeah, a couple of things. If we could bring up that site plan, please. Just to clarify one of the comments made about where the dwelling will sit in relation to the adjacent dwellings to the east and the west. The proposed dwelling is built exactly in line with both of the dwellings to the east and the west. So if we zoom in there, I think which one of the neighbors was talking about, there is a small cutout if we look to the house to the west, where that front porch is, but the dwelling itself is built exactly in line with both of the front yard setbacks of those adjacent dwellings. So in terms of upsetting that streetscape and that look of Moore Park Avenue, it will be maintained with that consistent front yard setback. And that's also reflective of that we don't have a variance for a front yard setback, either reduction or a increase in depth that would be associated with that. The other point I wanted to touch on was the height. Really, the streetscape of Moore Park Avenue is envisioned under 569/2013 as being a 10-meter high street. That is what the zoning bylaw permits. That is what is being proposed before you today. Both of the requests for an increase in height are under the old North York zoning bylaw, which again takes that measurement from the center line of the road. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a 0.71 meter difference between the center line of the road and the actual established grade of the dwelling. So that's why we see partly two of these variances, one definitely being the proposed finished floor height, as well as the proposed building height at 9.78 meters. So if we take off that 0.71 meters, we start to see, because again, that 7625 measures it to the midpoint of the roof, we start to see that number start to come down really to be about 9 meters. So part of that really is mainly driven by that difference in grade between the center line of Moore Park Avenue and the actual established grade of the property. So yes, so both height variances are related to 7625. Again, in terms of those rear walls, the rear walls are essentially one being behind, one being in front of the adjacent dwelling to the east and the west. The only height request we have, in my opinion, is for a modest 0.5 meter increase in that side main wall height. I don't think the adverse impact from that, again, with both dwellings essentially matching that rear main wall, would have any adverse impacts in the rear yard. But again, the height of this dwelling is envisioned in 569/2013 as being 10 meters, which is what is being proposed before you today. And I just wanted to touch on one more issue in terms of, I think one of the adjacent neighbors spoke of a setback. The setback being proposed is 1.83 meters. I think there was a concern with some snow, as well as where water would go. As you know, members of the committee, this would all go through a grading plan if it were to be approved. Any type of drainage or rainwater runoff would be dealt with at that stage. And again, with a 1.83 meter side yard setback, there's ample space for snow, again, for exhaust, air conditioners, or things like that. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Members, do you have any questions of Mr. Benskowski? There being none, can I have a motion, please? Member Kidd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm somewhat concerned about the number of neighbors and their objections to this proposal. However, when I look at the individual requests for variance, none of them really jumps out at me as being particularly unreasonable. Also, given the fact that the city planning has not come up with any negative comments with regard to this project, I'm going to put forward a motion to accept this proposal without condition.
Okay, motion from Member Kidd to accept this motion without condition. Can I have a seconder for that? Someone to second this motion? Member Manning seconds it. All those in favor? And those opposed? Member Attarodi is dissenting. This motion carries so that the application for 166 Moore Park Avenue has been approved without condition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now moving along to item number 32. 32 is 109 LARKFIELD Drive. We have, it's a proposal to construct a new dwelling, and there is 2 people noted on here to speak. And we've got a David Bronskill as the agent. Mr. Bronskill, are you there?
Hello, Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Please state your name and address for our records, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. David Bronskill here on behalf of the applicant. The mailing address is 333 Bay Street, Suite 3400 in Toronto, Ontario.
Okay, Mr. Bronskill, I note that there is an October 13th staff report asking that specific variances be modified. That is variance number 3 to 35% and variance number 4. They're asking you to reduce it, the story platform area to 11.6 square meters. There is one letter of support, and there is also urban forestry attached to this application. Are you making any changes today to your application?
Yes, Madam Chair, we are making some changes which will, I think, partially satisfy that staff memo, and then I'll speak after that, if that's all right, a little bit to the coverage. But why don't I just, for the record, indicate the two revisions for you?
Yes.
First, Madam Chair, variance 3, which is the lot coverage, it's a small reduction. It doesn't get us to 35%, Madam Chair, but it's a reduction from 37% to 36.35%.
Okay.
And then variance 4, which is that platform, Madam Chair, and staff had recommended 11.6. The reduction is to 11.56 square meters, so slightly under the 11.6 recommended by city staff.
Okay, so you are changing variance number 3 to 36.35%, just a little bit shy higher than what staff recommends, as well as variance number 4. It's a tad lower than what staff recommends as well, which is even more beneficial. It's at 11.56 meters square. Actually, no, it's a little bit less than they had wanted, but it's just a couple of points, 0.04 per meter square. So because we have a couple of speakers that are on here, would you mind giving a brief presentation to the committee members so that they're aware of where the merits of your application lay?
I'm happy to, Madam Chair. We had looked at the website and hadn't seen any letters of concern. So, Madam Chair, I'll make sure that I listen also very carefully to the speakers so that I can address their concerns that they may raise. If staff could start with a couple of the renderings on the proposal, because I think it's important to understand the dwelling that's being proposed, and then I'll speak to both the coverage and the platform. And I thank staff for scrolling through. Although I fully recognize that we can't design a house or approve a house for the user, the design of this house is to deal specifically with some of the proposed religious uses that our client would make in terms of their faith. And so the site plan itself orients the house in a particular fashion. It's why it's a little bit closer at the front lot line and a little bit further at the back. It's the orientation of the house in a specific direction for prayer, and it's also the 11.56 square meter front platform, which is for meditation and prayer. Thank you to staff. And then the design of the house itself, you can see, has certain archway functions both on that front porch and on the back porch, which interestingly is then relevant to the coverage variance, which I'll speak to in a moment. What I mean by that is those covered porches with those specific archways means that the front porch and that back rear covered area actually contribute to the coverage variance. And what I'm going to suggest to the committee as a way of addressing the staff concern related to the lot coverage is that we impose a condition that would tie the construction in accordance with the site plan. And if I could ask staff to go back up to page 5, which has the green and red components on it, and then I'll relate this to the site plan in a moment. If you see there on the left, the green coverage is the actual house, and it comes in at under 35%. In fact, it's 32.31%. So the actual house itself is less than the coverage that staff have asked for in terms of approval for the variance. It's the front covered porch in red, which is 0.86% coverage, and the rear covered patio that you saw in the image, which is 3.17%. Those two covered areas result, therefore, in the house, which is 32.31%, having a total coverage of 36.35%. Put another way, the house could remain exactly as it is without those covered areas, and we would be under the coverage being recommended by city staff. That's why I'm suggesting the condition that would tie it in accordance with the site plan. And if I could ask staff to scroll back up to that site plan, it'd be appreciated, because that would prevent the additional coverage, the 36.35 or approximately a little over 4%, 4.04%, from being deployed as GFA on the house. The house itself would remain as proposed, and it would just that the covered areas would then be included. that means the site plan, as you see there, would be what is approved. It could not be any larger. And I think we would then be meeting with the intention that is there of city staff. That's the site plan that we would hope would then be approved. As I noted to you earlier, the 1.57 meters is at the closest point that side yard setback. It's a slight reduction from what the bylaw requires, but as you can see, the orientation of the house in the specific direction means that by the time you get to the back corner, it's at 2.95 meters, and so the side yard has in fact increased, and it's in fact the house itself is not as long as the home directly adjacent to it. I hope that's helpful in terms of the explanation. I hope the condition might be acceptable to the committee. I'm happy to answer any questions, but Madam Chair, I'll obviously listen to the speakers and come back and address concerns as appropriate.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bronskill. Members, committee members, do you have any questions of Mr. Bronskill? There being none, okay, let's move to the first speaker that I've got recorded here. I've got a Jacob Gordon. Jacob Gordon. Mr. Gordon, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Yes, if you could state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Jacob Gordon. I reside at 28 Deanwood Crescent, North York, Ontario, M3B 1M5.
Thank you very much. Please share with us the concerns or commentary that you have on this application.
I don't have any concerns with the application. I am here in support of the application. I received the letters from the architect. I had conversation with the architect. I had a meeting with the owner, and I am satisfied that all of the variances requested are minor in nature, and I will support an approval from the committee for the plan.
All right, thank you for that. Committee members, do you have any questions or comments for Mr. Gordon? All right, we're noting that's a nod to supporting this application. And let's move to the next speaker that's listed, Judy Chung and Paul Fung.
Madam Chair, I've been advised that Judy no longer wishes to speak.
Okay, so Ms. Chung and Mr. Paul Fung doesn't want to speak either? Okay, he's not on the call. Okay, so there's just been one person speaking in support of this application, Mr. Bronskill. You've heard that. Do you have anything final to say before I ask the committee to go into decision making? Mr. Bronskill? Sorry, hold on one second.
Sorry, Madam Chair. I was
Go ahead.
I was clicking. Thank you to staff for unmuting me. No, Madam Chair. Again, I'm happy to answer any questions. I didn't know Mr. Gordon was speaking today on behalf of my client. Obviously, we appreciate him taking the time to come and speak in support. That doesn't always happen. Yes.
That's awesome. Okay, so committee members, do you have any questions before we take this into committee? I see Member Attarodi. Please go ahead.
Yes, to you, Madam Chair. I just would like to ask the applicant to repeat the modifications that he does. For variance number 3, the lot coverage is 35%. Is that correct?
Through you, Madam Chair. Yes, it is.
And for the variance number 4, the platform, the second story is, can you repeat it? Is it 11.5?
It's 11.56 to be technical, 11.56 square meters.
Okay, and then another question regarding the lot coverage of the dwelling itself without the front covered porch in the back. Is it 32.1%?
It would be 32.31% through you, Madam Chair, 32.31.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now that we have those modifications down, this is an application that, they've modified according, mostly in accordance to what the staff report has requested, a little shy of some of those percentage and meters squared points, but nonetheless, they were trying to address the staff report. There is one letter of support, one speaker in support, as well as urban forestry conditions. Can I get a motion on this application, please? Motion from Member Attarodi. Go ahead, please.
Yes, to you, Madam Chair, I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with the following changes. Variance number 3, the proposed lot coverage is now 36.35% of the lot area, and also would like to add that the lot coverage of dwelling is 32.31%. I want to add that on the end of the variance number 3, and also variance number 4. The proposed area of each platform at or above the second story is now 11.56 square meter, and also would like to subject it to urban forestry and also tie it to the site plan.
Okay. Thank you, Member Attarodi. We've got a motion to approve this application with the revisions that were suggested by the agent here today and recorded as such, as well as tying it to the site plan and urban forestry conditions. Can I get a seconder for this motion, please? Seconded by Member Kidd. All those in favor? This application has been unanimously approved, Mr. Bronskill, with those conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to the panel. Have a great evening.
You too. Okay, moving on. Item number 33, 298 Betty Ann Drive. This is a proposal to construct a new 2-story dwelling with an integral garage. On file, we've got the owner and the applicant registered, no other speakers, and the agent or the owner is Sharon Messica and an applicant of Victor Goitberg. Sharon Messica, are you there? Are you speaking to this application?
Madam Chair, Sharon is not there. However, I have unmuted Victor.
Okay. Mr. Victor Goitberg, is that?
Yes.
Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Yes. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, committee members. My name is Victor Gidberg. I'm an architect and representing the owner of this house, Sharon. Yeah, I'm residing 33 Belvedere Crescent on Richmond Hill.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Mr. Gitberg, I'm noting here that with this application, there is a October 13th staff report recommended that the following variance be refused, and that is variance number 1, which is the proposed side exterior wall main height. And there's also 4 letters of support from surrounding neighbors. Are you going to be eliminating variance number 1? Are you making any changes to your application today?
Through you, Madam Chair, I just want to explain the variance number 1, if you allow me to say a few words.
Yes, please. You may go into an explanation of your application.
To be honest with you, like I've been in this business for a long time and designed many houses in this ward. And as you know, probably this type of house where we have 2 levels on top of the garage, impossible to design without variance for the main wall height. But there are certain rules we've been following for years. And one of those rules is we design side walls of the house in such a way that the variance for the height only applicable to the small portion of the side exterior of the side walls. And if you can scroll down to the side elevation, you will see what I'm talking about. So the majority of eaves line on both side elevations is, I would say, almost complies with height, main wall height. It's 7.59 meters, just small variation from 7.5 meters per meter. So the owner of the house, my client, she likes modern appearance. This neighborhood is not architecturally controlled, and there's a variety of styles. And this type of variance been approved many times. I've been surprised at this staff report because usually, from my old previous experience, staff recommends to tie up committee decision to side elevations and assuring this way that variance will not be applied to the entire elevation, but just to the small portion to give certain character to the proposed house. We discussed this proposal with neighbors. They supported us, God bless them, and basically we maintain generous setback 6 feet on each side, so this variance, it's purely aesthetical and does not really affect anybody. I was trying to discuss it with staff. I gave a few addresses, like one of the addresses is 98 Park Home Avenue. It's just behind the, around the corners, have the same design and similar variances. But nevertheless, staff member chose to proceed with this recommendation. I think the way this house is designed is nothing unusual. It's been done many times before, and it's pretty typical for this type of house. And we, as I said, like, we're trying to maintain our variances to the very minimum. Like variance number 3 for the length, it's only applicable to the one-story extension as a back, because this one-story extension is slightly higher than maximum permitted in the bylaw. 2 variances under old bylaw, they basically, the reason for this variance is because the difference in height between established grade and crown of the road is more than 1 meter, so it's hard to comply with both height requirements. And the finally 32%, 31.95% coverage is, again, standard for the area, been approved many times before. Yes, so basically,
summarize.
Yeah, it's basically it concludes my presentation, and if you have any questions, I would be glad to answer.
Okay, so Mr. Gitberg, I just wanted to make sure, so you are not making the change that's recommended in the staff report. I just need to know that around, you know, refusal of eliminating variance number 1. You've provided explanations as to why, but you are not going to make any modifications or anything to that variance, right?
Certainly, Madam Chair. As I mentioned, like, it's impossible to keep the architecture of the house by eliminating this variance completely. I think we can compromise a bit. Like, I can reduce. I looked at the design again before the hearing, and I think I can reduce this variance to 9 meters instead of 9.43 meters.
So
but,
wait. Hold on 1 second. Are you making a change to it? Because they've asked you to...
I'm making the change, yes.
Okay, so what's the change that you're making to variance number 1?
Variance number 1 will read proposed height of the side exterior main wall is 9.0 meters.
So 9.08 meters.
No, 9.0.
9.0 meters. Okay, so you're reducing it from 9.43 meters to 9.0 meters. Okay.
That is correct.
All right. And I will now turn it over to committee. Do you guys have any questions or comments, concerns with respect to this application to Mr. Gitberg? There is Member Kidd having a question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was just curious, what's the height from the established grade to the underside of the eaves?
The height from established grade, yeah, it's 7.59. It's actually marked on front elevation and I think on side elevation. So as I said, it's very small deviation from 7.5 permitted in bylaw, just 9 centimeters higher.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? Member Attarodi?
Yes, to you, Madam Chair. Applicant explained when he was providing us explanation regarding the variance number 1, he pointed out that, like, sometimes Committee of Adjustment tied to both elevation, side elevation, to explain the exterior main wall height. The number is due to some architectural or the window height. But when member changed this variance, so we can no longer tie it to side elevation. Just want to have an explanation.
Okay, did you get that, Mr. Gitberg?
Yes, I understand that. I'm not sure about the correct procedure, but So I don't know what would you recommend? Like maybe I can just send the email to application technician with revised elevation.
Member Atarodi, was that what you were getting at?
Means Mr. Gilbert, well, I have to then ask planning staff that if Mr. Gilbert send an email with the revised side elevation that indicate the proposed height of the side exterior main wall is 9 meters, and it shows that the height is that acceptable?
I'm seeing here by the Deputy Secretary Treasurer that no, there can't be any further revisions. That will have to take it offline. So you can ask the question in terms of, you know, what is already there before you. If not, he can revise things on the spot or not. And, you know, if you have to make a
or is there any sentence that we can add to the decision that this this height of the side exterior main wall is due to the height of the side windows? If they can help me with wording that or not.
Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer.
I don't know if it would help him get a permit. I just don't understand the nature of the question. The variance is there. He's reduced it to 9.
Okay.
You can, if he has plans that are available now, you can tie it to it. If he does not, then you cannot tie it to the reduced 9 meters. And the variance on the text stays. That's the way the zone examiner is going to interpret it when he gets the new plans from Mr. Goodberg.
Okay. So thank you. Then the question is for the applicant if he have a plan updated at this stage.
No, not right now, because it was like very last minute decision. And to be honest with you, I didn't see the staff report before yesterday night. Like it's have been posted just recently.
Thanks.
Okay, any other questions? Member Kidd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think Ms. Adarati has a good point that if we allow the height variance at 9 meters, we can't tie it to the side elevations, and that would allow them to build the entire wall at 9 meters. I just wonder if the applicant might want to consider a deferral to deal with this problem.
Okay, Member Kidd suggesting that this requires a bit more work and looking for a deferral. Wondering if that is something that you would entertain, Mr. Gitberg, a deferral. So it's either you leave the variance 1 as is, and we're not sure how the members would vote, or you make the change of 9 meters, but then that will need new work in terms of tying it to a revised site plan, which requires you to defer the application in order to do so. What do you want to do?
Through Madam Chair, in my opinion, this revision from 9.43 meters to 9 meters is really very negligible, because the windows have been mentioned. Windows actually, they are already at 9 meters and even a little bit lower than 9 meters. This 9.43 is only applicable to 2 flat portion roofs in front and the back of the house. So the exposure to the site elevation is very small, like 2 feet only. So I probably, to avoid deferral, I maybe ask you to move forward with variance number 1 as is, and the possibility to guide it up to submitted elevations.
Okay, so what you're saying is that you do not wish to make any changes to variance number 1 as per the staff report. You feel like you've gone into the explanation of why that is already. So you're not making any changes to your application.
Yes, and I just want to emphasize again that this is not applicable to dormer windows. So dormer windows, they are already less than 9 meters. The height is less than 9 meters. So that's only applicable to two portions of decorative raised walls, basically designed to give certain appearance to front and rear elevation, but because of their exposure to the side elevation, it triggers this extra height variance.
No, he's
So
reverting
basically,
back to
it's
the
an
original
architectural
application.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to let you know also that the owner is on the call. I'm not sure if they.
Okay.
Sorry, I just missed it earlier.
All right, let's just see if the owner has anything further to add. The owner is Sharon Messica. Sharon Messica, are you there?
Oh.
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, if you could state your name and address, please.
Yes. Messica, I am Sharon Messica's brother.
Okay.
Hello, good afternoon.
All right. Mr. Messica, are you... I'm very sorry, but we cannot hear you very clearly.
Better?
Okay.
Oh.
It's very
Better
low,
now?
but...
How about now?
Okay, that sounds better.
Yes. Hi. Hi.
So you've given us already your name and address, but I just wanted to know, is there anything further that you'd like to add in addition to what Mr. Gitberg has just said? And he's reverted back to the original application and not doing any changes, despite the staff report. So is there something that you'd like to share with committee members?
Yes, I hope you can hear me clearly. I'm going to speak loud and try to get you guys to hear me clearly.
Okay.
My sister and her husband purchased 298 Betty Ann in 2013, and they have been living there for 9 years. During this time, she had 2 children. They're 6 and 4, and one more is actually cooking in the oven right now, and she should be arriving shortly. So she's going to have 3 children, and she decided she got to a point where she needs to upsize to accommodate her family. She loves her neighborhood, and she loves her neighbors, and she wants to stay in the same place. So she wanted to build a home, her dream home, and the same property. She worked on a plan with the architect to make her family dream home the way she always dreamed of. And we were just hoping that we can, since our immediate neighbors, both on each side, are very supportive, and we were hoping that you can, thank you, Madam Chair and chair members, to approve her dream home for her family.
Okay, thank you. Committee members, do you have any questions of Mr. Messica?
Yes.
Okay, so committee members don't have any questions. We'll go back to Mr. Gitberg, who has indicated that he's reverting back to the original application without changes and has provided his explanations as to why. Do you have any further questions, committee members? Okay, there being none, then can I get a motion on this application, taking into account what the owner and the applicant has indeed indicated, as well as knowing that there's 4 letters of support, but also a staff report letter that asks you to refuse variance number 1.
Okay.
Motion from Madam Member Attarodi.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I listened to applicant and his explanation, and at the same time, I'll also review the staff report. But I've been convinced that if I tie it to both side elevation, that will explain the 9.43. Therefore, my motion will be to approve this application as is, and also would like to tie this decision to both side elevation of this project. So the development substantially accordance to both side elevation.
Okay, so motion from Member Attarodi to approve this application and tying it to the 2 side elevation drawings in the site plan.
Correct, that's my motion.
Right. Do I have someone to second that motion? If there's no seconding for that motion, this motion fails. Okay, can I get a new motion as that motion failed? New motion from Member Kidd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do wish the applicant had taken the opportunity to defer this application because I feel it does need the issue with the height needs to be dealt with. I'm going to put forward a motion to accept the application, but to refuse variance number 1.
Okay, so a motion from Member Kidd to approve the application but refuse variance number 1. Can I get a seconder for that motion? Seconded by Member Manning. All those in favor? Okay, dissenting? All those opposed? Member Attarodi is dissenting. So your application, sir, Mr. Gitberg and Mr. Masika, has been approved with the refusal of variance number 1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item number 34. The property address is 60 Glengarry Avenue. 60 Glengarry Avenue is to construct a 2-story rear addition, new rear deck, and front yard parking to the existing dwelling. In this application, we've got only one speaker, and that is the agent, and that's Elizabeth Sissom. Elizabeth, are you there?
Yes, good afternoon. I'm here.
Yes, can you give me your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, my name is Elizabeth Sissom. I'm the architect, and my office is 1101-190 St. George Street, Toronto, M5R2N4, and I represent Miss Jessica Lee and Mr. Garvin Young, owners of 60 Glengarry Avenue.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sissom. I would like to bring to your attention that there are a couple of reports here, actually just one report, that is the Transportation Services report, that the site plan must be revised to remove the off-street parking space to match the existing condition, and noting a separate independent application process is required for review and approval of the parking pad via permits and enforcement off-street parking unit. Are you aware of this?
Yes, we are aware of this, and we agree. We will remove the parking pad from the site plan.
Okay, so you will address Transportation Services report. Committee members, there's one letter of support. There's no one else to speak to this application. Do you need a presentation? No presentation, no questions required at this time. Ms. Sissom, are you able to just share with us anything else that you'd like the committee to know before they go into decision making?
Yes, although we only have one letter of support, the neighbors to the immediate east at number 58 have been consulted, and they are in support of the application. The first variance that is requested, which is the floor space index variance, although it seems high, it is because the basement is the closest level to the established grade. That has been included in the zoning review, and I believe is stated on the circulated material regarding this application. So that is why it seems high for this area. There will be no visible change from the street in terms of this addition. It's rather small, 2 stories, 16 feet in length, spanning the width of the house, approximately 25 feet 6 inches, and with a small deck at the rear. With respect to the parking, there has never been any parking on this property. It's a pre-existing condition. Both the property at number 62 and this property, number 60, have never parked in space in their rear yards, although it's accessed by a mutual driveway because it's too narrow to allow a vehicle to pass through. So they have either had front yard parking in the case of number 62, and in number 60, they have always had a street parking permit, and it is our intention to apply for front yard parking through the appropriate channels.
Okay, thank you. Members, do you have any questions of Ms. Sysom? No questions? Then note that they are agreeable to the October 14 Transportation Services report and recommendations, and there is one letter of support. Can I get a motion, please? Member Attarodi.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. We're dealing with the application with two variants. The parking is an existing condition, and the first one is explained very nicely because it's the FSI is due to the basement, which is closer to the floor level established grade. Therefore, I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application and also subject it to transportation report on October 14, 2022.
Okay, thank you. Motion for Member Attarodi to approve this application subject to the October 14th transportation report. Can I get someone to second that motion, please? Seconded by Member Manning. All those in favor? Ms. Sysom, this application has been unanimously approved subject to the Transportation Services report of October 14th. Thank you.
Many thanks, Madam Chair, and the panel. Thank you.
Okay. Panel members, let me move your attention to item number 35. This is number 6 Caribou Road. This is a proposal for a second-story rear addition. On file, we've got two speakers noted. One of them is the applicant, the other one is the owner. They both did not register, but I'm going to start off with asking the owner, or should it be the applicant? The applicant, actually, to come on board, and that's Wayne Barrett. Mr. Barrett, are you there?
I'm here, yes.
Yes, if you could state your name and address, please.
Certainly. My name is Wayne Barrett. I'm the architect agent on behalf of the clients for 6 Caribou Road.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll ask staff members Lynn Kazam and Ellie Kadeski. Are the owners, are they online? Okay, they're not even online. Okay, no problem. So we've just got one speaker today, and that's the architect for this this application. Just to ask staff members, there's no one else to speak on this application. There's 3 letters of support, and no other reports from city planning or any other staff reports. Would you like a presentation on this application? There being none, Mr. Barrett, is there any final words that you would like to share with the committee before they go into deliberation?
No, I on behalf of the owners, I'd like to get this going very quickly for the members of the committee so they can get on. It's been a very trying afternoon. I feel for you. I've been sitting here since 1:30 myself, listening to all of the applications you've done a marvelous job. All the variances that we're looking for are very minor. It's for basically a 24.87 meter square foot addition on the second floor. We're not moving backwards with the building. We're not increasing on the side yard. It's we're respecting all the limitations. The coverage is really as a result of new canopies that we've added onto the front. The house originally in history probably was a center hall plan, and there was a center door. Somewhere along the line, there was additions put on. I'm going to think probably in the 70s, and that was removed. The current owners wish to put that back in place, so we're putting back a canopy over the new entrance at the front, as well as putting a canopy over an existing entrance, which is at the end of the driveway. So that's the variations that we're looking for as far as the coverage is concerned. So it's very minor. I think we're good to go.
Thank you so much. Any questions, panel members, for Mr. Barrett? There being none, let's move this into a motion. And I see a motion from Member Manning. Please go ahead.
Through you, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to grant this application. I agree with the applicant that all three of these variances are minor. There's no objections from neighbors or for planning. So the motion is to approve the application with no conditions.
Okay, motion from Member Manning to approve this application without conditions. Can I have a seconder? Seconder from Madam Member Attarodi. Thank you for that. All those in favor? Unanimously approved without conditions. Mr. Barrett, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and members of the committee, and have a great afternoon.
You too, and thank you for your kind words. Okay, moving on to item number 36. This property is 86 Chudleigh Avenue. This is a property to renovate an existing single-family dwelling, add an expansion to the rear of the existing building, and demolish an existing garage. On file, we've got Ms. Limor Benmore Mizrahi. Are you there?
Yes.
Yes, for the records once more, please state your name and address, please.
Ms. Limor Benmore Mizrahi of LB Mizrahi Architect, Inc. at 321 Hidden Trail, North York, Ontario.
I do note
I'm the architect and agent.
Okay, thank you. And I do note that the owner, Saif Zaratian, is not on the line, but he was noted on here. And there is one more speaker that is on the line that would like to speak to this application. Before I ask you to go into a presentation, please note that the October 13th staff report recommends modifications be made to variance number 5 from 17.8 meters to 17.48 meters. And variance number 7, they're asking for the floor space index.
Excuse me, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Oh,
sorry, I'm not, no, I'm looking at it's been a very long day, I think.
I'm sure.
Okay, I'm very sorry. There is no, let me just see. There's only transport, sorry. October 14th recommends, a deferral to the application to demonstrate that the curb cut and driveway width dimensions on the public right-of-way are revised according to the site plan. And there is one letter of support, but we also have someone who's speaking to the application. So this is actually, if you're able to talk to this, the concerns of transport, and present to us what your concerns are.
Madam Chair, Transportation has revised their report as of today. I think you have it on your screen.
Okay, so this is new?
Yes.
Okay. So just for members who are not able to see, the conclusions of the transport report does say that it is based on the above. Yes, thank you. Transportation has no objection to the minor variance, so there's no more concerns from Transportation. I presume that's
Correct.
why you had wanted to defer in the beginning, but now you've received this, you're not willing to defer any further?
No, we just saw this yesterday, and so we didn't really have a chance to, but Transportation was kind enough to review it this morning and provided this revised report.
Okay, thank you. So there's no longer a report for a deferral from Transportation. Committee members, please note, Transportation has at the last minute given us a report that changes that. They have no objections anymore. And there is one letter of support. So if you just do a quick presentation, a brief presentation, we do have somebody else here who would like to speak to the application.
Of course, of course. If so, the moderator has the presentation up. Page 3, please. Our proposal consists of a renovation to an existing 2-story dwelling in the transitional architectural style, including an addition to the east side and rear. Next slide, please. 86 Chudleigh Avenue is located within the established residential neighborhood of Lawrence Park, with several 2- and 3-story infill developments constituting various design styles and massing, as seen on this slide. It's page 4. Yeah. These are some samples of infill houses on Chudleigh. Prior to this hearing, packages were circulated to 20 of the surrounding neighbors, including an explanation of the requested variances. We've received one submitted letter of support, and there are 2 letters of objection on file. The owner has reached out to the adjacent neighbor at 84 Chudley, and they had expressed verbal approval. No trees will be removed or injured, and therefore no submission has been made to urban forestry. The next page, please. Page 5. Thanks. Variance. The first variance concerns. We're applying for 3 minor variants. The first one concerns roof projection. If you can go to the next page, please. As seen on the front elevation, the proposed eaves projection is 0.25 meters from the west lot line, when we're allowed 0.3 meters. This projection is measured from the edge of the rainwater gutter to the property line, not the eave, actually. The eave of the roof is actually at 0.35 meters from the property line. As illustrated on this elevation, you'll note the existing roof gutter is 0.2 meters from the property line. The second variance concerns street yard parking space. Back to page 2, please. It's the site plan. Great. A parking space may not be located in a front yard or a side yard abutting a street. The proposed parking spot is located in a front yard, as seen on the site plan on page 2. This variance is very common both on this street and in the area due to the narrow nature of the lots and existing rights of ways. Can you please go to page 7? It's the map. This map illustrates a sample of a list of front yard parking spaces that exist or have been approved both on the street and in the area. I anticipate this will become more common due to the lack of existing driveway widths between homes, as well as infill developments taking advantage of the full lot width. On page 4, the photo illustrates front yard parking of the adjacent homes. Okay. Page 8, please. The third variance concerns the floor space index. The permitted maximum floor space index is 0.35 times the area of the lot, and the proposed is 0.7. The proposed FSI is below the average approved variances at the Committee of Adjustment in the area, which range from 0.61 to 1.06 times the areas of the lot. This is illustrated on the map. In fact, the most recent Committee of Adjustment this past month approved 2 homes across the street with variances at 0.73 FSI. Also note the existing FSI is 0.42 times the area of the lot, already above the allowable. So as seen on the front elevation on the front page, the proposed house is designed to be an integral part of the neighborhood. In keeping with the vernacular architecture and its natural surroundings, there are no variances for front, side, or rear yard setbacks, nor building length or depth variances, and it complies with the allowable building height. When taking into account the requested minor variances in relation to development in the area, it is our contention the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw is maintained, and the requested variances are minor in nature. We maintain our application meets the 4 tests and respectfully seek approval for the relief of variances of the proposed dwelling. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thanks.
Thank you. Committee members, do you have any questions of Ms. Mizrahi? No questions? Then let's move on to the next speaker noted on file, and that's Violet Chen. Ms. Chen, are you there?
Oh, no, I'm just listening.
Sorry?
I'm just listening.
Oh, you're just listening.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I could
yeah,
at
I'm
least,
not intent to speak.
Yeah, if I could just get your name and address, and that's not a problem if you were just listening, but we do have to get that for the record. Please.
Yeah, Violet Chen, 58 Chudleigh.
Okay, so you have no comments, Ms. Chen, and that's duly noted. Okay,
No.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. So members, there's no comments from Ms. Chen. Do you have any other questions of the applicant here today? There being none, I just go over this very briefly that transportation no longer has a concern. There is one letter of support. The applicant has gone through, her presentation for you all. Let's take this into committee for a decision. Member Attarodi.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. I just, by listening to the applicant, I've been convinced that this is very minor in nature. We have 3 variants in front of us. One of them is parking. The transportation have no objection. The other 2 also nicely explained. Therefore, I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with no condition.
Member Attarodi, approving this application without condition. Can I have someone to second that motion, please? seconded by Member Kidd. All those in favor? This has been unanimously approved. Ms. Mizrahi, without condition. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 37. And this is a property 230 Lord Seaton Road to construct a new dwelling. Back with us this afternoon is Agent Ida Evangelista, and we've got two other area residents who wish to speak. Ms. Evangelista, just for the record, can you give us your name and address, please?
Yes, Madam Chair. Ida Evangelista, 53 Bentworth Avenue, Toronto, on behalf of the owner of 230 Lord Seaton Road.
Okay, and before we go into a brief presentation from you, just to note that there is a transportation report from October 14th where there's no objections, but you do have two letters of objections, and I believe those two individuals are speaking on the application today. So if you could provide us with a brief presentation before we hear from the speakers, that would be great. Thank you.
Yes, Madam Chair, and thank you for mentioning that. So I am in receipt of the letters of opposition, and hopefully this will explain, what their concerns are. So this particular application, we have the driveway that currently exists, and if you refer to my first page of my submission, you'll see that the driveway is currently facing Cotswold, which is where it will remain. The variance is technical in nature. I did speak to the zoning examiner, and because that is the longer street, that's why that variance comes into play, because he's taking the Lord Seaton as a flankage. However, Lord Seaton, I don't believe, is a safe area to have a driveway, and that's why it remains where it is. And the new front door will be facing Cotswold. Right. Okay. So, and that explains variance 1, which was one of the concerns that the two neighbors had. The proposed height of the front and the rear exterior main wall. So this particular design, this is a gutterless system design. So with gutterless system, we have the banding molding, which is around the building, and the 8 meters is to the top of the molding. However, to the underside of the molding, our main wall height is 7.59, so it is 0.09 over the 7.5. Our lot area, my apologies, I misspoke. The lot coverage, we are asking for 1.11. We do have a covered porch in the front of the home, and that contributes to the lot coverage. Now, let's go on to our setbacks. So in my submission, you'll see on page 3 how I've highlighted all the various setbacks. So that 1.5, because I do want to state that this is a very irregular shaped lot. So we have been very sensitive on how the design is going to be so that it's not imposing into the street. We've kept it back from the corner approximately 26.9 feet, which is 8.15 meters. The 1.5 meter setback is strictly only for the pinch points. If you refer to the north side, you'll see that the house basically is jagged, and that 1.5 is just for the points of where it is. However, the remaining setbacks are 3.07, 2.7 meters, 2.7 meters. So it is set back quite a bit throughout that whole north end of the home. Now, our height, we do not have a height under the new bylaw. However, we do have a height under the old North York bylaw from the center line of the street. Now, with this particular area, and again, if you refer to my submission page on 5, where I show you what the flat roof portion is, we have a 33% flat roof portion on the top. The roof itself is sloped, but the very, very top cap, let's say, at the very top, it is flat and it's 33%. And that's why that variance number 6 under the old bylaw comes into effect at 8 meters. However, and that again is technical in nature. This is not a flat roof house. You could see from the front elevation, it is a peaked house. We just have that small portion, and it's above 25. Under the old North York bylaw, if it's above 25%, then under that bylaw, it is considered flat. However, we do not have a height, nor length, nor landscape variance for this particular property.
Okay, I'll ask you to summarize, please.
Yes, I will. So, Madam Chair, members, on page 6, I've literally included just a sprinkling of what is around. There are so many new homes in this area. This is very characteristic to what exists in this neighborhood. This is a gradual and sensitive form of intensification for this particular lot, given all the aspects of the curvature of the lot, the irregular shape, and being near the corner. But as I mentioned, this is 26 feet away from the corner of the lot, which I do not believe that it will create any unsafe circumstance.
Okay, thank you for that. Members, do you have any questions of Ms. Evangelista? Okay, then we'll move on to the next speaker that we've got noted here, and this is Heather Castles, and she sent in a letter of objection as well. Heather Castles, are you there?
Madam Chair, Heather does not wish to speak at the hearing today.
Okay, so Heather Castles is not speaking today, but her letter is on file for your review if needed. Then we've got a Susan Smithern and a M. Smithern. I'm not sure what the M stands for, but Susan Smithern, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Please, if you can state your name and address for the record.
Susan Smithen, 227 Lord Seaton Road.
Okay, thank you. Can you provide us your, concerns and considerations around this application, please?
Yes, happy to. Thank you for the opportunity. Well, I was interested to hear, I guess it's the architect who spoke first, that they have changed their mind about, from the initial proposal I saw, about where the driveway would be, because it's very dangerous to bring a driveway out onto Lord Seaton Road. So can I be advised that they have actually removed variance number 1 from their request? Is that exactly what she's saying? And secondly, I just would like to say that's one of 6 variances. It is an unusual shaped lot. I live directly across the street from it and have done so for 20 years. I have developed quite a nice garden at the front, and I would like to keep that garden going as it faces west. We get a lot of sun. I wouldn't like the height to be higher. Like many people who have spoken this afternoon, I have been sitting here all afternoon. There are bylaws, and they must exist for a reason and a purpose. And each time that a house grows and is allowed to exceed the bylaws, it makes for a problem. One of the reasons why Lord Seaton at this area is difficult to drive out of driveways to, and I have a semicircle drive, so I'm always able to drive directly out, is that other houses have been allowed to be larger. And therefore my sight lines, when I look south, I cannot see. People speed on Lord Seaton. And this is not anecdotal. The police know this. They frequently have signs and various devices, and police along the way giving tickets to stop speeders, but they're still here. So I guess my main question is the variance number 1 completely gone, and the driveway and vehicle access to the house will remain on Cotswold? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And what I'll do is I'll turn it back on to the agent, Ms. Evangelista, to respond to the concerns of Ms. Susan Smithern. But first, let me ask if the members of the committee have any questions for Ms. Smithern before Ms. Evangelista responds. No questions? Okay, Ms. Evangelista, if you can share your comments on that.
Yes, Madam Chair. From what I can decipher, 227 is across the street. So, like on the, I want to say on the north side of the particular home, to the north and to the east. So I respectfully submit that there will be no shadow impact. As I mentioned, there is no height bylaw. My apologies. There is no height variance under the new bylaw. That height variance is only under the old bylaw, 7625, which is taken from the center line of the road and then added with the added fact that there is a very small portion on top of that roof that is flat. And that's why that variance comes into play. So I can assure Susan that there will be no shadow impact to her property. Also, I cannot remove variance number 1 because, as we know, Madam Chair and members, that it is the zoning examiner, through the zoning examiner's interpretation, when he views the plans and how he sees his variances. So on this particular situation, he has viewed his interpretation of this particular property. He viewed Lord Seaton as a flankage. However, again, it is technical in nature. I can again assure Susan that the driveway will remain where it currently stands today. It will not be moving. These are plans that are submitted to committee, and if anything were to change with this property, that would affect all the variances, because as we can see, this is a very irregular shaped lot. So to change the direction or the shape of this home, we would be right back in front of committee. So again, it's unfortunate. It is the interpretation of the zoning examiner. I cannot remove variance 1 because then when we go to building permit, it will be a problem. So, but the driveway will remain where it currently is, and that is facing Cotswold.
Okay, thank you for that. Members, do you have any questions for Ms. Evangelista? That being said, let's take it into committee. Can I get a motion, please? Yes, Member Kidd?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I accept the explanation provided by the applicant. It is an unusual lot, and I think this proposal is a good development for this property. I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application without condition.
Thank you. Motion from Member Kidd to accept this application without condition. Do I have someone to second that motion? Seconded by Member Manning. All those in favor? Ms. Evangelista, your application has been unanimously approved without condition. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members, and have a good evening. Hopefully it's not too much longer.
No, just a few extra. Thank you so much.
Just a few more.
Yes.
Thank you. Ciao.
Bye-bye. Okay, so we've got application number 38. The property address is 24 Southgate Avenue. This is a proposal to construct the second floor addition over top and to the rear of the existing garage. And here we only have one speaker, that is the agent. There's no one else speaking to this application. Mr. Eric Kirschenblatt, are you there?
I am here. Good evening.
Good evening.
It's already
Can you
evening.
state your name
Madam
and
Chair.
address for the records, please?
Eric Kirschenblatt, 431 Fairlawn Avenue, North York.
Thank you. I'd just like to draw to your attention and the attention of the staff, the members, that there is a staff report recommending that the following conditions be attached, and it's very simple. It's this proposal be developed substantially in accordance with the west elevation drawing and the site plan drawing, and urban forestry conditions apply. Are you aware of that, sir?
Yes.
And you're in agreement with that?
I think there's a small tree on the front property that we'll protect when we're doing a minor excavation in the front.
Okay, not a problem. So what I'm going to do is ask committee members, do you require a presentation for this application? No presentation required. Do you have any questions that you would like to ask of the agent? And sir, Mr. Kirschenblatt, do you have anything else you'd like to say to the members before they go into decision making?
Just that this has already been done a few times on the street, and we're not doing anything different. Unfortunately, the existing garage is 11 inches off the property line, so we're just building straight up over top of it to create. Family is growing, and they just need a little extra space.
Okay, thank you for that. Members, I see Member Attarodi. Yes, go ahead.
There is no question. If there is no other question from any other member, I'm ready to put forward a motion.
Please do.
Okay, through you, Madam Chair, I've been convinced that this is minor in nature, and I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with only one staff condition, that the proposal be developed substantially according with west elevation and as well as the site plan drawing, attachment numbers 1 and 2 to the report, and also would like to subject it to urban forestry memo.
Great. Member Attarodi has put forward a motion to approve this application subject to the October 14th staff report and forestry conditions. Do I have a seconder for that? Seconded by Member Manning. All those in favor? Okay, this item has been approved, Mr. Kirschenblatt, with subject to the October 14th staff report and urban forestry. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Okay, you too. Now moving along to item number 39. The property address is 83 MCRAE Drive. This is a proposal to construct a new 2-story single-family detached dwelling. There are 2 persons noted here, but one of them is the agent and one of them is the owner who's not presenting. I'll just turn to our planning technician to find out, is the other member on the line, the owner, or no? They are? Okay, I'll just double check if there's anything they need to say. But at this time, Richard Mann is the agent. Mr. Mann, are you there?
I'm here.
Right. If
it's
you could
Richard Mann.
Yeah.
Yep, it's Richard Mann. I'm the architect and agent for the owners of 83 MCRAE. I live at 153 Woodhaven Park Drive in Oakville.
Okay, thank you for that. Members, I want to draw your attention to the fact that there's an October 13th staff report recommending that there's modifications to be made to the application. They're asking that variance number 5 be modified in the building length and reduced to 17.48 meters. And variance number 7 in the floor space index is reduced to 0.704 times the lot area. There's also a condition that the building height be developed substantially in accordance with the north side elevation drawing. Urban forestry also has conditions, and while Transport October 14th report has no objections, they do have some standard conditions as well attached to that. There is one letter of objection, but from the Leaside Residents Association, but there's also 8 letters of support from surrounding neighbors. Mr. Mann, are you aware of the conditions of the staff reports?
Yes, I am, and I believe the revised public notice has those items already included.
Right. If you could actually tell us the revisions, we need
Certainly.
that done out loud for
Certainly.
our record. So please proceed.
Yep. So variance number 5, as per planning staff recommendation, was to reduce the building length to 17.48 meters. My apologies. Modify variance number 7 regarding the floor space index to 0.704 times the lot area. And then the other variance that did change, and it's not noted in the planning staff recommendations, but of course the coverage variance also changed, and it became it's variance number 4, and it's 38.05%.
Okay, so we've got variance number
And those
4.
numbers are all reflected in the revised public
Right.
notice.
Thank you. And so we've got variance number 4 reduced to 38.05%, variance number 5, 7 to 17.48 meters, and variance number 7, the FSI is now 0.704 times, and the lot area.
That's correct.
There is, just the owners on the line. I'm gonna ask members, do you require a presentation on this application? There being none required and no questions at this time, let me just double check that Dave Feeney and Allison Bowe on the line, and if they have anything to add. Dave Feeney and Allison Bowe, are you there?
I'm here. Allison Bowe's here.
Yes, hi. Can you state your name and address for the record?
It's Allison Marie Bowe, and my address is 83 MCRAE Drive.
Great, thank you so much. I know that you are the owner of this property, but do you have anything else you want to share before we go into committee for decision making?
No, I just really wanted to say, we've grown up in Leaside all of our lives. I was born here. My parents live a couple blocks away. When we purchased the house, we were a newly married couple. I am now a proud mother of 3 young boys. So we just simply, have outgrown our space, and with the pandemic highlighting that, we love the area. We put a lot of effort in keeping the look of the house to go along with kind of the traditional feel of Leaside. And that was very important to us. So I just wanted to say that, and thank you so much, guys, because it's been a long day for you.
As for you. Okay, thank you so much. Members, do you have any questions of Ms. Bowe? Okay, there being none, let's take it back to the agent. Sir, do you have anything final words before we take this into committee for consideration?
No, I don't. I've read both reports, and the only one, I guess, just to sort of clarify, is the comment from Forestry regarding the approval not being tied to the location of the driveway width as presented in the site plan, giving us an opportunity to discuss with Forestry on the location of the parking space. So I'm not sure if that's something that you have to verbally say. After watching most of the stuff this afternoon, you're normally tying something specifically. So if you don't specify it, I just wanted to be sure that it doesn't get tied to the site plan.
Well, what we will say is forestry conditions do apply, and that would be something for you to work out with Forestry. But they will need to be on board with what you're doing before this gets fully approved, right? So that's
absolutely. We do have to do the tree removal permit. Yep.
Okay. Great. That's perfect. So, members, do you have any questions of Mr. Mann at this time? If there are none, let me just remind you that he's made the variance changes a couple of times. We've stated that for about 3 different variances, number 5, number 7, and number 4. Urban Forestry has conditions. Transport, no objections, but they do have conditions as well in their October 14th report. I want you to note that the letter of objection is from the Leaside Residents Association, but there are also 8 letters of support on file. No one else here to speak to this application. Can I get a motion on this application, please? Member Attarodi.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair, I'm ready to put forward a motion to approve this application with the following changes. Variance number 4, the proposed lot coverage is 38.05%. Variance number 5, the proposed building length is now 17.48 meter. Variance number 7, the proposed floor space index is now 0.704 times of the area lot. And also would like to add the staff condition that the building height be developed substantially in accordance with the north side elevation drawing attached to this report. Also would like to tie it to urban forestry memo, and also, although the transportation have no objection, but they had some following some conditions. 2 conditions. Do you want me to read it, or it's just based on the October 14th report from transportation?
Yes, I think
Is that enough?
that should do. Yes. So
That's my motion.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Member Attarodi, for that motion. Can I have someone to second Member Attarodi's motion? Seconded by Member Manning, and that motion. Sorry. All those in favor? Everyone's in favor. So, Mr. Mann, your application has been approved with those conditions of the staff report, as well as the changes you've made, urban forestry, as well as the October 14 transportation report. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members of the committee.
Okay, good night. Also, now we have the last item of the evening, and that is item number 40, and that is 29 LEVITT Court, and this is a proposal to construct a 2-story rear addition. On here, I've got one person who is speaking to this. Sorry, 2 people are speaking. One is the agent. Is there an Eddie Perez on the line?
Hello, good evening, Madam Chair and committee members. My name is Eddie Perez. I'm here on behalf of the owner and the designers. We're at 537 Rogers Road. As you can see, we're proposing a modest small addition to accommodate a bathroom on the 2nd floor because it's a growing family. The house is very small, as you can see. It's only around 155 square meters. The depth comes into fact because of the garage sticks out. As you look at the site plan, that's what the actual house itself is only 40 feet long.
Right.
So I feel that what we're proposing is very modest and it meets the 4 tests. Thank you very much. If you need anything else, let me know.
Well, if there's anything else you'd need to say, make sure you let us know, because we do have someone who we would like to hear from who's an area resident. I don't know if they're for or against it. Is there anything final that you need to say?
Yeah, we got a letter of support from all the neighbors in the surroundings. And as you can see, if you look at the site plan, the addition only comes out a little piece from what the back is. We're just enclosing that little corner at the back, which faces the street, and the impact to any neighbor is very minimal or none. That's all I have to say for now, and I'll hear what the person has to say. Thank you.
Okay, so staff members, just to let you know, this does have, members of the committee, this does have an October 13th staff report recommending that the proposal be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan drawing. There's 12 letters of support, but there's also 3 letters of objection. Do you have any questions for Mr. Perez at this time? Okay, if no questions, let's move on to the next speaker. There is a Natalia Berlianchik. Are you there? Natalia Berlianchik.
Hello?
Yes, hello. Can
hello?
you state, yes, hello. Can you state your name and address for our records, please?
Hi, my name is Natalia Berlianchik. I live at 5 LEVITT Court. And my backyard border of backyard of 29 LEVITT Court. I want to emphasize that this area of the small semi-detached houses with small backyards. So any additional construction in such a tight area impact privacy and create disturbance for immediate neighbors. All the minor adjustment in so many parameters make this matter worse. New construction will be close to our semi-detached home and 3 other property, and will obstruct part of the view and substantially reduce the minimal amount of privacy we have right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Members, do you have any questions for Ms. Berlianchik? If no questions, then let's bring it back to Mr. Perez, the agent. Mr. Perez, are you able to address any concerns that Ms. Berlianchik had shared with us today?
Yeah, if you can put up the site plan again, you can look at how modest this little addition is. There's already a one-story existing addition. We're only projecting less than a meter out. It's square to the street. It won't affect her privacy as her house is further north. The impact on her will be none whatsoever. This is a very modest addition, as you can see. It's just to accommodate the owners, which needed 2 bathrooms because it's only a 1 bathroom. And as I said earlier, this is a very small house. It's only 155 square meters. We're not here for any GFA or anything like that. The length kicks in because of that garage, the way it projects to the front of the house, and that's only a 1-story garage. And it's a pie-shaped lot. That's what's kicking in the rear yard setback at one point. But at the other point, we have way more than what's required. Like I said earlier, it meets the 4 tests, and it's very modest in nature. And I feel that this project is good for the area, and it should be approved, in my opinion. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Members, do you have any questions of Mr. Perez at this time? If there's no questions, please note the October 13th staff recommendations and the condition they're tying it to. There's 12 letters of support, 3 letters of objection. 1 person spoke today as well. Can I get a motion?
Yeah, okay.
Member Attarodi.
Yes, okay. Through you, Madam Chair, I also believe this is a very modest renovation, and it's minor in nature. Therefore, I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with only one condition, that the proposal be developed substantial accordance with the site plan drawing submitted to Committee of Adjustment attachment number 1. And that is it. That's my motion.
Thank you. Motion for Member Attarodi to approve this application subject to the staff report of October 13th. Do I have someone to second this motion? Seconded by Member Manning. All those in favor? This motion has been unanimously approved with the condition of the staff report. Mr. Perez, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. Members, we do have one last item to deal with, and that is
Madam
around...
Chair?
Yes?
Madam Chair, the person who is asking for the refund is on the phone and would like to address committee.
Yes, absolutely. So members, we do have a matter of a refund that had come in. You might have received information on that. If I could explain, it's the 136 Glen Park Avenue, and the owner is asking for a refund on their 2017 Committee of Adjustment fees. The application was heard in 2017 and was approved by committee. No issues and no city mistakes were noted. The Committee of Adjustment decision was provided to the panel members. The project went forward and was stopped at the building permit stage, and there was no understanding as to why that may have happened, but it never advanced again. But again, just to highlight, there was no concerns or issues that were flagged at the Committee of Adjustment level. So given this 2017 application predates our refund policy of 2019, it is up to you to decide by review and vote, as refund requests were done before our formalized refund policy was instituted. We have the applicant or agent, the applicant or the owner of 136 Glen Park Avenue on the phone.
Okay. You ready?
Yes.
Yes, sir, if I can get your name, please, and address one more time for the record.
Okay, state your name and address.
My name is Saeed Rezai. My address is 136 Glen Park, North York, Ontario.
Okay, thank you, sir. Can you speak to the committee members as to why you need this refund?
I'm sorry, is that clear?
Okay. She's asking, can you tell the committee why you want why you are requesting the refund?
Actually, Actually, I called the City of Toronto several months ago to find out about my permit, and they said it's canceled. So I asked just to renew it for us. They said we cannot do the renew because it's already revoked. So I said, because I spend a lot of money on that and so much time, at least if I can have a refund. I've been told that you can have a refund for 40% of that. So I was willing, either I have a refund or I have my building permit renew again for another 5 years. That's the reason.
Okay.
So his building permit was revoked.
Okay,
Yeah.
so did members get that? The Deputy Secretary Treasurer just repeated what he said.
Yeah, then, Madam Chair, why the building permit have been revoked? Is there any reason?
Can you tell him why it was revoked?
Yeah, actually, I do not know. I find out that they sent the notice, but we never received any notice. We never received any email because it was a fraud on our file. The person name was Ruzbe Akhlaqi, who is some identity of us. So they sent the email to the drawing person. We didn't receive anything, any confirmation, anything from the City of Toronto. We've been totally shocked when we saw this is happening to us.
Okay, so members, he does not know why it was really revoked. There were no much explanations provided.
But that issue is between the owner and Toronto Buildings.
Right.
It is not between the owner and committee.
Okay, so members, you do have a decision to make now. Do you have any other questions of the requester right now? Then we need to make a decision on this application. Yes, Ms. Manning, Member Manning. Sorry, you're on mute.
My apologies, Madam Chair. I thought you were asking for a motion, but I'll wait till you're done.
Yes, not a problem. And the motion is, just please consider that refunds aren't always done readily like this. And you've got to note that Committee of Adjustment did go through this, did the work, and it was approved. And it was there was no issues noted or flagged on the Committee of Adjustment's end. So with that, yes, can I have a motion, please? Member Manning.
Through you, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to deny this application for a refund. I don't think it falls within the refund policy, which only dates back to November of 2019. And without knowing the reasons why the permit was revoked, I just don't think there's sufficient information to grant this application at this time.
Okay, thank you. Motion from Member Manning to refuse or deny this refund request. Do I have someone to second that motion, please? Seconded by Member Kidd. All those in favor? Okay, unanimously refused. Thank you. All right, so at this time, I want to thank all the members publicly who waited online. We did go through some audio issues and technical difficulties that set us back a couple hours behind. Thank you so much for your patience. And at this time, I want to say a special thank you to the team, the planning team and staff here, Daphne and Sam and the Deputy Secretary Treasurer and Alex, as well as you as members for really going through this and putting up with a whole day with the delays and not knowing what was going on. Extremely amazing hard work. So now can I get a motion to terminate this meeting? Motion from Member Manning, seconded by me. All those in favor? Yay. This meeting comes to an end. Thank you so much for everything, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.